That record holds now that the camera completely
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Grand Prix Podcast. We are here for the season of 2018. I'm Elton, this is Andy.
Hello there.
Hello mate, you alright?
Oh yes, have you missed me? I mean, it's not like we've not done other casts in between the last one of this and now.
Yeah, spoke to you last weekend, so
pretty much, yeah.
Kind of, no, not really. You're not like one of my children that I would miss if I didn't see for a week, but you know, you are a stable part of my diet, I suppose.
This has gone very weird all of a sudden.
It has. I feel like I should be backing out of this cul-de-sac straight away.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, how are you? Are you doing well?
I am well. One cannot complain.
Good. Are you looking forward to the next season?
We have a long discussion in front of us where we can ascertain if that is the case.
Yeah, I'm expecting, I don't know how long we're going to be going for at the moment. Obviously, the listeners already know that, which is a kind of weird space-time continuum thing that they can do. But I don't know if I have a lot to say or very little to say.
Or maybe a lot to say about a little.
Yeah, or a little to say about, yeah, it goes on and it goes on and it goes on. There's quite a few things to talk about already. We have pre-season, we have the liveries that we want to talk about. I definitely want to talk about them. We have other little subjects that might not influence our thoughts on the season, but they're slightly important, so I think we should bring them up. So
yes, and plus we've had 2 test sessions, all the pre-season testing, so we need to speak about performance, seeing the cars on track. Spoiler warning for everyone, just so you're aware, this is probably going to get a bit political at some point because politics is kind of tied into the sport. So, you have been warned.
Yes. Yeah. Just if you are a new listener to us, welcome. Thank you very much. Please take a seat, have a biscuit.
If I might suggest, maybe go and listen to one of the good casts, Azerbaijan perhaps.
Yeah.
Ease into, I don't think this is going to be a good jumping on point. Well, there's going to be a lot of opinions. People who are familiar with the cast will have eased into. It's like jumping into a hot bath.
Yeah.
If you start with early in the season and ease into it, by the time you get to this one, you'll be fine. This is going to be jumping into a very hot bath.
Yes, there are subjects that we've already spoken about at length that we hopefully won't go over at length again. Halo, but I'm sure will be mentioned. So we are strapping in and being prepared. Just a precursor for everyone as well. There will be swearing. I make no bones about it.
Fuck yeah.
We have a new logo on the album art for iTunes as well. It's got a little 18 certificate, so there are no excuses anymore. I know it says explicit in iTunes and everywhere else, but the album art itself has got a little 18, so that is it. You should be prepared for this. So there you go.
Warning, podcast will contain nudity.
Exactly. Oh, yes. Oh, hang on. Oh, let me turn the webcam off. Anyway, so should we get into it?
Yes, let us do the thing. Where should we begin?
Well, I don't know. I reckon, should we do the liveries as we go, or as we hit teams, or what?
I'll tell you what. All right, let's start off with the elephants in the room. Mm-hmm. There's a couple of which we're just going to have to talk about. So let's get these out of the way straight off the bat.
Okay.
Let's just talk about the Halo. Let's get that done.
Okay.
Because when we get into liveries, I feel that how the team have incorporated that will feature into it. Okay. And I don't really want to have to do all of that and then we have that conversation. So let us talk about the Halo, which to people who aren't familiar what we're talking about, no, Formula One drivers hadn't suddenly become deified. They are certainly not saints. It is a new safety system imposed by the FIA, which is a titanium hoop wrapped in carbon fibre, which now sits above the cockpit of the car. And the idea is if large debris like tyres and things like that hit it, it is deflected away from the driver before it will do any damage. And we saw a couple of years ago, I think it was in GP2 or maybe GP3 as it was then, John Surtees' son was killed by a tyre hitting him.
Yeah, that was years ago, wasn't it?
It was a while ago. Definitely.
I thought that was in the 90s.
No, it was in the last 5 years.
Okay, Henry. I'm going to Google this.
Yeah.
Hang on. Man looks up thing, etc., etc.
Yes, it's just riveting audio for our listeners out there.
Oh, we start as we mean to go on.
It's true. You may as well get used to this, listeners.
Oh, okay. Right. Wow. Okay. Born 1991. Died 2009.
There you go.
There you
and
go.
There was also one, I believe, in IndyCars. It's not killed.
Wilson, yes.
Yeah. So there is precedence, not in Formula One necessarily, but certainly in open cockpit motorsport. It's important to note that this wouldn't have prevented the death of Jules Bianchi. They've said in the test it wouldn't. But what they did is, with the test they did, every scenario they played it through, it either had a positive impact or it was non-negative. It would have been the same either way. So there you go. So
okay.
What do you think of the Halo, Elton? Both as a concept and as a thing.
Okay, as a concept, with it being adopted by Formula One, I'm still undecided. I've not grown to love it, because that's going to take a long time. I think it's like the sound of the new engines that we have a couple of years ago, where we went from the normal aspirated to the hybrids that we have nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
And the sound took a little while to get used to, and now people don't really mention it anymore, do they? It gets brought up every now and again when a V10 or a V12 goes around and they go, oh, I wish they sounded like that. Or you look back and people look at old videos and go, oh man, I wish they sounded like that. But on a whole, I think Formula One has got used to the sound of Formula One now.
Yes.
And that's going to happen with the Halo that we have now from until whenever. It's not pretty. I think once the teams are able to adopt it into their car better, or they all sit down and have a couple of seasons under their belt where it can be, the regulations are bent a little bit where they can design their own version, then it will get prettier.
I don't know if they'll be allowed to do that, though. The FIA has already mandated they're not allowed to develop their own Halo. They have to purchase it from an approved supplier.
Yep. Yeah, I know. But yeah, these rules change, don't they?
It's true. They do.
I'm not saying that's going to happen within the next 5 years or anything like that, but I think there may become a time where personally, just go to a cockpit. Just go to a fully enclosed cockpit. I know we've had this conversation before, but yeah,
and we're going to have it again.
Yeah,
damn it.
Okay, cool. go full canopy. But in this test session that we have at the moment, I don't mind it. Honestly, I'm nonplussed. I look at it and go, oh, there's the Halo. I think it looks better now that liveries are incorporated in certain aspects, instead of just a big black scaffolding pole stuck on a Formula One car.
See, I'm the opposite. I think the ones which look the best are the ones which are just black. And I think the Sauber and the Ferrari, where they painted it in the right colours, is very obtrusive.
Really?
I really do think that. I have a feeling we're going to disagree on a couple of liveries when we get to that, so we'll say that. I mean, for my money, I've been quite vocal saying I am all for cockpit protection throughout the last season. I think they may as well just go closed canopy because A, it's going to look better.
Yep.
B, the cars are going to run better because there's a lot of aero stuff's cleaned up there. And one of the biggest arguments against going closed canopy has always been, we want to be able to see the driver at work. Well, congratulations. You can no longer see the driver at work. You may as well have a giant pink dildo painted on your crash helmets at this point because no one's going to see it. at all.
Yeah, poor old Max Verstappen, he spent thousands of pounds on a new design for a helmet that's not going to get seen.
Well, do you remember a few years ago, Vettel had a different helmet pretty much for every race?
Yeah.
I mean, no one would be able to tell now. It'd be like, whatever, who cares? I think they should just go closed canopy. Interestingly enough, IndyCar haven't mandated the halo and are testing an aero screen.
Yes.
Similar to what we saw. I don't think the aero screen had enough of a fair chance last time out. It was effectively bolted onto Vettel's car once. Mm-hmm. He said, I don't like it. And they said, oh, well, then sod it. We'll scrap it. And
that would have looked better. It did look really good, actually.
It looked a whole lot better. And it just seemed like they did one installation lap with Vettel. He decided he didn't like it. And that's it. We're using the halo. And I think Vettel's the kind of guy who would say, oh, if I say I don't like it, they just won't bother with anything. Sort of thing. I feel it should have been given as much testing and opportunity as the halo had. Mm-hmm. Even if it was a case of every time I say, oh, okay, these are the two options you have. You have the halo or the screen. The screen looked so much better. And have you seen it on the new Indy cars?
I have, yeah.
It looks really good. So I'd certainly be in favour of that. Yeah. Strangely enough, though, the halo looks really good on the Formula E cars.
Oh, thank you. Yes. That car looks wicked.
That car, yeah. Yeah, you want to see what a good Formula 1 car should look like? Go and have a look at the Formula E cars.
Well, the thing is, it suits it because I think, well, it's been incorporated into the whole design aspect and whatever the word is.
Aesthetic.
That's the one. Of the whole car. And so it is quite angular. And so it suits it.
It flows into it beautifully, doesn't it?
Mm. Yeah. I think that kit looks wicked. And I love the rear wing on it. And it appeals a lot more. Still sounds shit. Still sounds like it should have milk bottles ringing in the background. But it looks pretty good. It's probably the best sport to have with the sound off now.
Well, I got to tell you, if they just need to sort out where I can watch this. If they get Sky F1 to start running the coverage, I'm there every weekend.
It's on Channel 5, isn't it?
Like I said, if they get Sky
with Vernon
F1,
Kay, what's your problem?
Like I said, if they get Sky F1 and some decent coverage going, I'll be there every week to watch this thing because those cars look amazing. Mm-hmm. And you've got all the manufacturers over there now. You've got Audi going up against Porsche, going up against Mercedes. It's just like Formula E is where it's going to be at.
They've got names now, haven't they? They got Porsche, they got Audi, they got Jaguar, they got Venturi, which is DiCaprio's team, I think it is.
Yeah.
Oh dear. But as the manufacturers have already turned around and said, that is the direction that they're looking at. And so the big money's going to go there soon, mate.
Well, they've mandated there can be no petrol manufactured cars after about 2032, I think it is. Mm-hmm. They won't be allowed to make them. So, yeah, it's definitely going to be going that way. I'm just throwing you a picture of the version 2 FE car in the chat, and you can see how very sexy that thing is. So
that is dirty, man.
Oh, it is. I mean, this is, again, regular listeners know my love of LMP1 cars.
Yeah.
This might have edged. If you give this thing a closed canopy, so it's like that sleek nose all the way up and over, I might need a bit of private time, man.
Yeah, man, that is filth, in a good way. But yeah, it is,
absolutely. So yeah,
filth.
That is very cool. But dragging it back over to Formula One, if that's the way the manufacturers are going, then Formula One, you may as well just say, fine, whatever. It's about, forget this whole notion of, making 3 engines last an entire season, which I'll get to in a second. But all this whole notion about the technology filtering through to cars, it doesn't. Just make it an entertaining racing series. Mm-hmm. And I'm fine with that,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So with the Halo.
Yes.
I think Perez turned around and says he hopes to see that someone survives because of this year. So what he's saying is, I want to see a massive crash and I want to see someone get out of it fine that we can turn around and say, whoa, he might not have got out of it if the Halo wasn't there.
Well, that's a rather churlish attitude to take, I think. Did you see the video Formula One put out?
Sorry.
Well, it was kind of like promoting the Halo.
How can you promote this?
It's
not that bloody GIF with the cat pushing around the flip-flop, is it? Because that is doing my head in.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I'm not even going to share it. I refuse to share that. I'm
blissfully my ignorance there. But yeah, so I'm going to post it over here. And again, you can stick this in the show notes for the listeners to follow along with.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so if you're playing along at home, turn to page 6 and play the video listed there now. And then you can see what we're watching as well.
Oh, okay.
But cool. It's a little 1-minute video that F1 did promoting the Halo and why they think it is needed.
Are we going to watch this now, are we?
Yes, you should watch it. You back?
I am back. Yes, I have seen that, yes, because I remember Nicole Scherzinger being in there.
I mean, it shows a tyre impacting it, and that's quite impressive. And it shows a whole lot of accidents. But the weird thing is, you show me all these accidents. None of the drivers were actually hurt in any of those.
Yeah.
In none of those accidents would the Halo have really had an impact on what happens.
There were close calls, though, weren't they? I think what they're trying to say
they
is...
appear to be close calls. And again, I'm all for the safety. But this wouldn't have helped with Massa's thing where the spring fell off, because it's not meant to deflect stuff like that.
Nope.
It wouldn't have helped with the Jules Bianchi thing. They've said it wouldn't have had, prevented that accident happening. So there's that. And the tyres and everything, they're not supposed to fly off. If a tyre has left the car, another part of safety equipment has already failed.
Yeah.
Because those wheel tethers are supposed to keep it attached. And again, a lot of the drivers have said, look, once you're in the car, it doesn't affect us at all. We can't see it. That's fine. But they have said, I'm wondering somewhere like en Rouge, Spa, when you're going up the hill, it's going to block your view because you can't look up. They've had to get rid of the traffic lights in the pit stop, or at least move them, because you can't see that. And they're going to have to redesign the start procedure, because again, unless you're on like the front row, I think it is, you can't see the lights.
Mm. I don't know. There is scope. I think they're trying stuff. This is experimental. No, not everyone's going to like it. I don't like it. I'd rather not have it, but I want the drivers to be safe. Now,
absolutely.
The problem is we live in a health and safety day and age. And so stuff like this, which is not the prettiest answer to anything, but it is an answer. It's the safest answer to the questions posed by a boardroom. And this is a political build that's been put on the cars. This is not a proper engineering feat. It's a tick box, isn't it?
Well, this was suggested by Mercedes, I think, as their solution to it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the weird thing. It's just I don't recall there being a lot of call for cockpit protection at the time.
Right.
I mean, do you? Because again, with the hands device, which was another instance where everyone hated it until they had it and then they were fine with it. Mm. But the hands is not intrusive to watching the sport or anything like that. And that was in response to several deaths from basial fractures.
Yes.
The most famous of which I think was Dale Earnhardt Jr., was it?
Oh, Dale Earnhardt, who refused to wear it, I'm sure.
Something like that, yeah. And again, then there you go. There'd been a call to use it, the thing had been developed, and then a high-profile death was like, well, we've got to do something now. I feel they went with the Halo because there was all this cause of, it's got to stay open cockpit. We need, it's part of the DNA of the sport. It has to do it. So, people can see the drivers at work. And it's just like, well, you can't see the drivers at work anymore.
No, you've really struggled to see the driver at work since 94. 95, they really raised up the height of the sides around the driver's head. And so you couldn't really see the shoulders or the hands moving.
No, I mean, if you go back and look at, say, Senna doing Monaco back in the late 80s, that's a driver at work.
Yes.
But yeah, like you said, you could still see the head bobbing up and down, and that's fine.
And these drivers aren't working like that either.
Oh yeah, no, not at all. It's again, if you watch the side by sides of like the late 80s, early 90s drivers with a modern driver, again, they actually had to take their hand off and manual gear shift.
It's crazy.
Madness.
Yeah.
Madness. But yeah, so the Halo, I don't think this will last 5 years. I think if in IndyCar the screen they develop works out, they'll just jump to that. Yeah.
I'm hoping. I'm quite happy for a fully encapsulated cockpit and lots of cameras inside the cockpit, so you can actually see the driver working,
like you see in Le Mans and stuff like that with the endurance championship cars. Yeah, absolutely. I would be very much like that. Yeah. I guess we'll wait and see what happens with that.
One thing that has come of it, though, I'm not a fan of that little traffic light in the pits.
Oh, no, you prefer the old lollipop man?
I prefer the little man with the lollipop stick. That puts, brakes on and then flips it over, first gear, and then whips it away. I prefer that, but then you're just putting another man at risk or lady at risk in the pit lane.
Oh, they don't care about the risk. It was literally the reaction times, wasn't it? And that's why I think they're now putting it in the car, the light or something.
Right. Yeah, it'd just be another light on the dashboard that the guys have to, oh my God, another light we have to look at.
Yep.
Lots of LEDs just glaring in your face all the time.
So, yeah, that's the Halo. Anything else to say on that, or shall we move on?
I don't like the little winglets that they're putting on there, because we did have someone rip their driver's suit on the winglet.
Oh, really?
Yes.
No, that's not good.
I think it was Gasly. I think it was getting out of this. And it's the little steps to get in and out of the car as well. The little steps.
Oh, I'm just picturing a stewardess and a little boarding steps, and they go up and go, enjoy your flight, sir. Enjoy your flight.
I'm surprised they didn't get a little child to be used as a step. Little YTS person to sit down on his hands and knees, and then Kimi Räikkönen puts his foot on his back to climb into the car. No, I don't like that. I don't like that appearance, because that looks utter bobbins. And the little winglets, no. If it's safety and it's mandatory, then don't start putting flaring on it. Don't start putting wings on it and little fins. No, I just don't agree with that. If it's going to be bog standard, it should be bog standard.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much. So yes, Halo, it's there. It's fine. Not a fan. I'm hoping they will come up with something better. Another rule change I think we want to have a quick chat about is the new engine limits.
Yes.
We've gone from 4 engines to 3 engines over the course of a season, but we have an extra race. So, yeah, it's going
to be turmoil, isn't it?
Well, I think one of the biggest complaints we had last year was the amount of engine penalties they were getting.
That McLaren were getting as well.
Well, McLaren and also Red Bull and the Renault drivers.
Yeah.
But I feel also at this point, the reason they brought in the reliability rule was to bring the cost down.
Mm-hmm.
It's going completely the other way, though. Because the engineers are spending so much time and money on engines on the dynos to try and get to 3 engines.
Yeah.
And then they're still not doing it. I think at this point, it would be much better to just say, okay, fine, let's say 3 races an engine or something like that. But use cheaper components. You can use cheaper metals and stuff in them, because it's fine. But it's just getting stupid at this point.
There is a balance there, isn't there? Because I think they were trying to get the cost of running a Formula 1 team down so other teams would join. That hasn't happened.
Oh no! If that was their stated goal, they have failed so spectacularly.
Yeah. And they got rid of the T car as well, so that was an extra engine or 2 or 3 or whatever it was. Which
I will just go on record saying I miss. First lap fuck up, red flag, drivers racing back to get in the T car.
Yeah.
I miss that.
Yeah, Yeah, there was something romantic about it, wasn't it?
Then you'd have like the T car set up for one driver, but the other guy's got to drive it, and he's got to just kind of drive around all the settings and everything for the other guy.
Yeah, it was interesting.
It was
definitely interesting, but there is a balancing point where they should have stuck to however many engines. Let's say we got 20 races. Okay, you've got 10 engines. Maybe that's a bit too much, but just for this example, that is plenty. Stick with that for 10 years and see how it goes. If you get more manufacturers coming in, because you're not getting that. If anything, people are leaving.
Well, at this point, I think Formula One should just accept that manufacturers are not interested in Formula One.
Yeah.
Not really. They're looking at Formula E. So if that's the case, fine. Bring in a cheap screaming V10 or a V8 or something like that. That, like you said, you can do maybe, let's say 10 engines, maybe 8 engines over a season, something like that. Tell you what, 5 engines over a 20-race season. There you go. Jobs are good.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
And yeah, I think that would work out a whole lot cheaper for them than what it currently is. But I don't see any team getting through the entire season without taking engine penalties, and I fucking hate engine penalties.
Everyone does. And there's so many components on these as well. You have the kinetic, the KERS, the HERS, or whatever it is. You've also got the gearbox that you can change and you get a penalty for that. You've got the power unit, you've got the electronics as well. It's just, there's so many things that you can get penalties for. And instead of reducing that, they've just increased it, and it's bingo, really, isn't it? It doesn't really matter where you qualify. And that was happening last season and the season before. It didn't really matter where you qualify, apart from the top 4 drivers, top 6 drivers, maybe. It was all higgledy-piggledy, and come the end of Saturday, you still didn't know the full grid, which was frustrating.
There was, what was that race? And then it was like literally half the field had penalties.
Wasn't it Belgium?
And some of them it might have been Belgium. And then some of them had penalties on top of their penalties.
Yeah.
So then you had Ted trying to explain why cars were starting where. And you had one person who had a penalty and had an engine change and still started further up than he qualified because of it was bollocks. This is the sort of shit they need to get on top of and sort out. Because it's ridiculous. And I mean, again, the only reason they're sticking with this free engine, I mean, apparently all the teams except Ferrari were in favour of changing it. But because you can't do anything without unanimous approval, there you go.
Why don't they play ball?
Because they're Ferrari. And we will get to Ferrari. Ooh. Don't worry, I have a note for Ferrari.
Oh, okay.
They are coming. So, anything else to say on engine limits?
No, looking forward to all of them penalties being dished out, though.
I agree. Now, my next topic, I kind of feel it's a bit of a waste saying it at this point, but at the time it was a big deal.
Yeah.
And the fact it's kind of faded away kind of shows how much it wasn't a big deal. The elimination of grid girls from Formula One.
Okay.
After you, sir.
Right. Oh, I don't know where to start with this. I get why they have.
I'll start.
Go on then. Okay, go on.
I'm disappointed. It was even a fucking. I'm disappointed it was even a thing. That's my concern with this thing. It was anyone. I'm annoyed that this became such a big deal because they're right. In the modern 21st century, kind of doesn't have a place. Furthermore, who watches Formula One for the grid girls?
I certainly don't.
Who basically sits down and goes, oh, no grid girls in Formula One. No, thank you. I'm not there. They were part of a fucking furniture. All respect, but they were just in the background. And how many cringeworthy moments would you see them walking up to the podium past all the girls standing there who looked like they were about to switch off, like had no idea what they were doing?
Oh, yes. I do believe I've seen a couple of tweets saying the corridor of clunge, which I was like, oh, no, don't do that. That's gross. But so, it's very fake, the grid girls being there.
It's very, very fake. I mean, I say annoyingly, it's been a while since we this hit the news. And I went and I asked, because I thought, it's really not for me, a man, to be talking about my opinion of the women doing this. So I actually went and asked a woman. I asked a friend of the show, what did they think about it? I'm trying to see if I could find the response she sent back to me. But it basically boiled down to is, ask yourself this: why were they there? Why were the girls there? Or were the girls there because they wanted to be there? And I freely admit some of them might well have wanted to. And we saw quite a few people coming out saying, well, it's their choice. They wanted to do this, and you know about. No, they were there. So frankly, people like Bernie Ecclestone could leer at them.
Yeah.
There's no two ways about it. That is literally why they were there. That was it. And I feel, we want to see more women in Formula One racing. That's something else that's come up this week, but I'm not going to start getting off on that one. But we want to see more women in Formula One. If you turn up and you look more like the people holding the umbrellas than the people racing the car, if you're a little girl watching Formula One, what does that tell you about what you can do? I'm sorry. It should have gone a long time ago. It was long overdue. My biggest complaint about the whole thing is such a fuss was made over it. It should have just been quietly done away with, and that was it. Yeah. Didn't have to make a big announcement or anything. Just
this weekend there's just no grid girls. That's the way it should have been, really. Yeah, it was a massive fuss. I forget how I felt when it was initially reported, because it was lots of people either jumping on it and saying, "Oh, you're ripping jobs away from these girls." I'm like, well, they don't follow the whole show around the world, and it's just another free weekend where they'll go get work somewhere else.
Yeah, I was going to say, again, trust me, they're not going to be wanting for modelling jobs or anything like this.
No.
It's fine. And again, it's like, people saying stuff like that. It's not like they were being forced to go and do this. I understand that. No one was going around with a shotgun and forcing them to stand in front of the cars. But the fact there was the market for them to do it, something there. I just feel that it's a positive scent to hopefully start getting more women in Formula One.
Yeah.
I want to see people like, what was her name? It was Toto Wolff's wife.
Susie Wolff.
Susie Wolff. Yeah, I mean, it was a shame she never got a chance. Danica Patrick over in IndyCar, it was muted at one point. She could maybe came over. But as long as that was the kind of mentality we had in Formula One, it's just never going to happen.
Yeah. Get Pippa Mann over as well. I think she was from Ipswich. And get her racing. She's great.
She the one doing it on
she did the Indy 500 last year.
Yeah, who's the one doing it on the Grand Tour at the minute?
The Grand Tour.
The Top Gear thing on Sky.
I don't know. I forget her name.
But anyway, still, yeah. So I've just found the actual message. So I won't mention names because I don't know if they said it was okay, but I'll read what they said. So I asked, "What's your opinion on them banning girls?" And you have to look at the situation where women are laid out as part of a decor and ask yourself why. Who asks for that? Who pays for it? Who has the power? What do they want? And if it's only women who are used in that way, then it's not about treating women equally with respect. And if you look at what they're going to wear, it's not about equality or respect or racing or empowering. Is it fuck? It's about sex. Right. So it's awesome that kids are going to be replacing the models. And that's true. I think that's aspirational. You've got some kid who's good on go-karting and stuff like that, gets to go and stand in front of Lewis Hamilton's car. That's cool.
Okay. Bringing kids in there. This is the thing I've got a bugbear about.
Okay.
Bringing kids in there. I don't care. I honestly don't care. It doesn't make me want to watch it. It doesn't make me want to turn off. I don't want to see a nobody kid there. That's the thing. When I watch football, they have mascots, so they bring out all the kids. And it's just part of the natural scenario of football. They bring out the kid. Every footballer has a kid in front of him. They all shake hands and then they get to, meet the players. Brilliant. It's good for the kid and the family of that kid for an hour. Apart from that, I don't care. It's not going to change my life. It's not going to bring me any more happiness or any more sadness if I see a kid there standing with Kimi Räikkönen.
I get that. I understand that. But I would much rather see an aspirational kid who wants to be Kimi Räikkönen, who wants to be Lewis Hamilton, than some attractive young lady in a skimpy piece of lycra who's standing there because she's being paid to stand there holding an umbrella.
Yeah.
Who has no interest in the sport, has no interest in any of it, who is there to have pictures taken of her. Mm-hmm. And that's it. I would much rather you have, like you said, some kid who's, doing well on the karting circuit or something like that. I mean, we've all seen the videos of Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg when they were that age, and, I'm going to drive for McLaren one day.
Yeah.
And okay, at the time, I'm sure you'd have looked at that kid and said, who gives a fuck, kid? But now that he is Lewis Hamilton and you look back at that video and you go, oh, okay, he made it. That's cool.
Yeah.
I am 100% in favour of that over eye candy for the sake of eye candy.
I'm with you on that. I'm 100% for the kids instead of the eye candy. Definitely. But it's not going to make me want to watch it. It's not going to make me turn off. I'm nonplussed by the actual idea of it.
And that comes back to what I was saying before. My biggest disappointment about the whole thing was it was a thing.
Mm.
It shouldn't have been a thing. It should have been, they should have stopped using girls like that a long time ago. And they should have been using the kids a long time ago.
Wait, it's people that read The Sun and The Mirror and places like that and the sport that just go, oh my God, there's not going to be a sexy lady in front of our car? That's disgusting. How dare you? What about their jobs? And you're like, shut up, mate. Honestly.
Oh, someone sent me a link to, they were talking about, it was one of the Goodwood festivals.
Yep.
And okay, things like that, revival festivals and that kind of reenacting, I tend to give a little bit more leeway with that because, it's a period sort of thing as well. But it was a forum of blokes and they were just leering over the girls in like mini skirts and stuff like that. And they weren't even being subtle about it. And it's just like, that's just kind of gross.
Yeah. And then you had grid boys, which once again, I don't care. There was some female racers that were having grid boys. And I think that was just because they could, just to equal things out. It was almost, I'm sure it's not meant like this, but it's almost, well, do you like it? And I can guarantee you that there would be some blokes going, oh, that's disgusting. That's disgusting. You shouldn't be there, mate. What's the matter with you? Get some balls. And like, no, you don't understand that message, do you?
No. So the long story short, long overdue, shouldn't have been a thing, was a thing. That's my point is, again, now we're maybe a month after that announcement was made, maybe 2. Everyone's forgotten about it, which just further emphasizes the point that it wasn't a fucking thing.
Yeah.
People should get over themselves. And I want to see more women in Formula One. Quite frankly, I'd like to see more minorities in Formula One because you got Lewis Hamilton. That's kind of it.
Yeah, I just want to see a spectrum there.
Mm.
Just a nice broad
spectrum. A ZX spectrum.
That would be awesome.
That would be.
That would be awesome. Maybe give them to Mercedes this year. Say, okay, right, you think you're good? Use this. Good luck, guys. You can only use
ZX Spectrums under pit wall, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I've managed to piss off all 100 of our listeners now at this point, Mo. So it's just you and me now there. So there's that. Okay, what's next on my list? Should we talk about Ferrari?
Okay.
Not the car, just Ferrari, the entity,
okay.
who have basically said, we will leave Formula One if we don't like what's going on.
Boring.
To which I say, no, please, fuck off.
Yeah, go.
And the Scuderia horse you rode in on.
Because they're not going to go to Formula E. They won't go to Formula E because they
can't go to Formula E. Okay, so, right, they leave. What are we going to do? Go to IndyCar? Possibly. I could see that maybe happening. It's
a big place for them.
It's a big place. Do they want to be being shown up by Honda and Chevrolet? Yeah. Don't think so. But that's the only market I can see Ferrari going, unless they wanted to start up their own circuit, formula. In which case, more power to them. I won't be watching because I don't give no fucks. The sooner someone calls Ferrari's bluff on this thing, the better. Because I am sick to death of the tail wagging the dog. And Ferrari are the absolute worst at this. They literally are.
Yeah.
It's like every time they don't like the way... I mean, again, that's why the free engine rules carried over. I mean, okay, the team shot themselves in the foot by saying it in the first place. But once they kind of realised how stupid it was, all the teams were like, no, we'll change it, except Ferrari, who were like, well, no, we've done our reliability stuff. We think we can make 3 engines last the season. Guarantee you they won't. And I will laugh like you won't fucking believe the first engine penalty Ferrari has.
Yeah,
so,
it'll be in the closing stages where they need the points the most, and that's when they'll be bitten in the arse.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I'm just sick of this. The power Ferrari has over the sport. It's like, no, fuck off.
I want to see a Ferrari LMP1 car. I would dearly love to see that.
Oh, absolutely. In all red? Oh, forget about it.
Yeah, and the B team would be yellow.
Yes! Oh, yes!
It would, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, they need to. And that's the thing. I don't see why they haven't. That seems like a much more natural fit for them than... So I just typed in Ferrari LMP1 car into Google, and I might need a minute here. There
are a couple of pictures, yeah. There's a couple of mock-ups, and they look flipping awesome.
I need a moment. So, yeah. Ferrari, do us all a favour. Look, take your toys out of the pram. Go and do a season or two in LMP1. Go win that championship, whatever. Formula One will be happier without you for a bit. I'm sorry, they will. You'll be happier without Formula One for a bit. Probably come back with a new appreciation of how good you had it.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone will be just happier.
But then again, Red Bull did this a couple of years ago, didn't they?
Yes, but Red Bull, again, they might have like puffed out their chests, and Bernie, went down and said, "Oh no, we'll do it." No one cares about Red Bull at all. If Red Bull left, no one would care.
Mm.
But for some reason, everyone goes, "Oh, Ferrari's in the DNA of Formula One." It's not a living organism. It doesn't have DNA. It doesn't work like that. Okay, seriously, it's not in the DNA. Stop. If what's in the DNA of thing? Cigar-shaped cars with massive steering wheels, leather flat caps, no seatbelts. Usually an Alpha. That's the DNA of Formula One, there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay. Yeah. Yes, please. The horse you rode in on Ferrari, off your fuck with our blessing.
Yep.
We aren't getting invited to any of the races, I don't think, this year.
Dude, if we are getting invited, then Jesus, we're going to have to wear some sort of moustache around the track and maybe a flat cap.
I'll have to shave me goatee off.
Okay, what else are we going to move on to? Streaming service?
Okay, yeah, that's a more recent one, but this is Formula One themselves going to run a streaming service, aren't they?
They are, yes, but we're not going to get it over here because Sky have got them tied up. And over here in the UK, I know this is the last year for Channel 4 to have it on terrestrial, and then after that, it's solely on Sky, and Sky want to keep that. So we aren't getting this, the streaming service, and VPNs won't work in getting the streaming service. That's what I've heard anyway. So we are screwed.
All I'll say about that, better sites than them have tried to stop VPNs getting hold of their stuff.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. And look, there are always ways. And people will always stream it on Twitch or other places, Ustream and other things that it's going to look proper hokey. But there are always ways. I would rather just pay for a sole channel, like a streaming service that I can rely on, and then ditch Sky altogether. And that's what Sky are worried about.
Sky is the only reason I keep Sky is for the Formula One, because I will say this, their Formula One coverage is par excellence. I love it. It's great. I mean, they've had the testing there, the web-based services, but I don't have a physical TV or Skybox. I just stream it through the online systems. But yeah, no, it's going
to be interesting, because sometimes when the commentators were talking about the race, and then they'd go into a garage, and you'd hear them in an echo of all the teams were watching Sky F1, weren't they? Yeah. They'd have all their broadcast. This year it'll be interesting, because I guarantee you, Liberty Media turn around and say, "No, you're not having Sky. You're having this. This is what." That being said,
do we know that they're not actually going to be taking the Sky feed, because they do that?
Well, they don't take the Sky feed. it's Liberty Media's feed and then it's broadcast to Sky, isn't it?
But what I'm saying is, I know when I was in the US last year and I was watching it on ESPN or something like that.
Yeah.
You have Martin Brundle and David Croft are doing a commentary because they pull basically the English language feed is the Sky one.
Yeah.
So will Liberty Media just use that from Sky? So it would still be Martin Brundle and David Croft doing that commentary.
Oh, doesn't that cross a couple of wires though?
Well, if Sky are allowed to keep the UK one, that's fine because that's their primary market. And then they're just selling the service on, which means they're either making money from Liberty Media or they're getting a discount and preferential treatment or whatever. But I know that Sky, they have like Sky Italy and Sky Germany and all of that kind of tying into, they all kind of collaborate together.
Mm.
So I could see that being the case. And again, who else at Liberty Media? Again, coverage for me certainly lives and dies on how good the commentators are. Who's better than Martin Brundle and David Croft? David Croft and Anthony Davidson, I know, but he's tied up with Sky as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's not David Coulthard, is it?
No.
David Coulthard, no, thank you.
So, yeah, I'd be interested to see what they do there. We'll see. I'll tell you this: when the season kicks off, maybe we'll see how good the VPNs are, and give it a little watch, see what we think.
Yeah, well, I'll be interested in someone else trying to find out about that. Let me know later on. I'm not saying I would do it though. I promise you, because I pay for Sky anyway. So there we go. Let's move on quickly.
Okay, moving on.
They want a new signature tune for the Formula One.
Don't care. 0 fucks to give. Let's move on.
Just use Fleetwood Mac. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of all the kind of the newsy sort of stuff that I can think of.
You've hit everything.
No, it's a couple of things. We've already touched on it briefly. There's 21 races this season, up from 20 last year. And the French Grand Prix is back.
Yes.
It's at Paul Ricard.
Yep.
Well, when was the last time it was raced there? It was like 2000 and...
No, Paul Ricard, it was 1990. Yes.
Yeah, it was Manicourt, wasn't it? So, because doesn't Bernie Eccleston own Paul Ricard?
As far as I'm aware, yes.
Mm.
Yeah. Last time, I'm trying to remember, it was Alain Prost that won the last race.
What, in 1990?
Yeah. Was it Alain Prost or was it Senna?
It was.
It was either Prost in a Ferrari or Senna in a McLaren.
Prost in a Ferrari.
Yep.
Senna was third.
And the year before, I think it was Prost in a McLaren where Mauricio Gugelmin was in the March and nearly won it. I think 7 laps from the end, he started spluttering, ended up coming second.
No, according to this, second in 89 was Nigel Mansell in a Ferrari.
Who's third then?
Patrese, also in a Ferrari. In a Williams, sorry.
Was this 88 then?
Was it 88? I don't know. I feel we're straying slightly off topic. I will look at 88 very briefly, just to satisfy.
It's definitely there.
Okay, well, again, it wasn't 88 because it was Prost from Senna.
Oh, Jesus. Flipping. Right, okay.
There will now be a brief intermission while Elton finds out.
No, I want to know what race the March or the Leighton House was running the French Grand Prix. He was in the lead for ages. I swear it was 18. Maybe it was 90. Maybe who's on the grid on the podium on 1990? I
just told you it was Prost from. I can't remember who the second was, but third was Senna. It was Prost from Ivan Capelli.
Yeah, Ivan Capelli. There we go. Sorry.
Ivan Capelli.
Yeah, not Mauricio Gugelmin. He was his teammate.
And it was in the Leighton House Judd, not the March.
Which it's kind of the same sort of thing.
All right, fine.
That was a Adrian Newey designed car.
Was it really?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, it has hallmarks of the Williams FW14.
Ah.
Yeah.
Interesting. I actually got Adrian Newey's autobiography for Christmas. I haven't had a chance to read it yet. But, have you read it?
I've read maybe the first or second chapter.
Good so far?
Very good so far, yeah. I kind of just want to get into this sort of stuff. I want to get into the actual designs.
Ah, yes.
It's big though, isn't it? It was bigger than what I expected.
It is, but I have 2 long flights coming up this month, so I'm planning to basically just power through then.
Good man.
Okay, right. Let's move on quickly.
Sorry, 21 races this season.
21 races this season, yeah. French Grand Prix is back.
Too many.
I don't think, possibly. Kubica failed in his goal to come back as a full-time driver.
Yep.
We'll touch on a bit more when we get to Williams, but he is their test and reserve driver. I think that is now all of the kind of newsy around the tests and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So shall we talk teams? I was thinking, rather than do test and test, should we do teams and what we think of their liveries, their particular news, and how they went during the test?
Yeah, I'm looking at the Wikipedia page. The bottom one is Williams, working their way up to Ferrari. So should we do it in that order?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah?
I just mentioned Kubica, so that seems like a good place to start.
Okay, let's go with Williams first then.
Let's start with Williams, yes.
They are looking like a dog.
They're looking very nice. It's a good-looking car.
Yes.
Just to be clear.
Okay, the performance is looking like a dog.
The performance is looking like a dog, but before we get there, again, as all 12-year-old boys know, the first thing you're looking at when you're looking at a good Formula 1 car is how good does it look? What's the colour scheme like?
Mm-hmm.
So, colour scheme, I'm liking it. It's the martini colours on top, but then with a black underside almost.
Yeah, for me, a little bit too much black.
I can definitely see where you're coming from with that. It's weird in that it's very good at hiding the details, that black, isn't it?
Yes.
So there you go. But yes, performance thus far has been less than expected and hoped for. It's actually been slowest over the second test, I believe.
Slowest every day over the second test.
Which is not great.
The first test, I think we should point out, was kind of a washout because of the beast from the east, I do believe we were calling it, the snow.
I'll tell you what, let's take a brief little diversion from our talking about the teams for something else I wanted to talk about. I might as well talk about it now. The Barcelona test is a waste of fucking time, in my opinion. Because even when you don't have the beast from the east, or whatever you want to call it, it's far too cold to get decent data to use.
Mm-hmm.
None of it correlates to anything they're ever going to use the rest of the season. Why aren't they going to somewhere like Bahrain or just somewhere, Abu Dhabi even, or wherever, but somewhere where they guaranteed good weather and decent temperatures so they can actually develop the car?
Yeah, they need the decent temperatures. It's no good because you're not going to get cars running in these sort of conditions at any stage, even in a wet race.
Absolutely. I'll get to the wet bit in a second, but it was just like, what's the point? You make the argument that, it's cheaper for the teams to go to Barcelona than Bahrain. It's not cheaper if they turn up and do sod all for 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a waste of money.
Yes.
So next year, guys, Formula One, look, you want to bring in new countries potentially. I tell you what, before you run a race properly, go to one of these other circuits perhaps and do the test there. In fact, there you go. Circuits which are rated for Formula One but not on the calendar, you can go there for tests, all right? Then you can see how the cars behave there, see if it's exciting and interesting, generate some interest perhaps, potential future race there.
Right. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I think that would be sensible, yeah.
But it's just, why Barcelona? The only reason I can find is because they've always done it there.
I think it's easier. It's a hop, skip and jump for all the European teams, isn't it?
Well, absolutely.
Well,
and it's the case
really,
of they can go, we need to bring spare parts, well, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but again, on the first test, was maybe 1 day was usable out of the entire thing. I mean, cars ran, but it was so cold, they weren't getting any usable data.
Well, do you think that why don't they do it at Silverstone? Is it because it's just bloody expensive?
Well, they don't do it at Silverstone because it's even colder there.
Yeah, it is even colder, and I suppose you would have particularly nice weather in a good day in Spain during March. It would still be shorts weather, shorts and shirt. So it's not too bad. It's not representative of what you're expecting during the season. And especially when we go back there in May, you're not expecting it to be, oh, it's pleasant. I can wear a thin jacket. It's not like that. It should be baking. So,
well,
yeah.
It's just one of those ones where you want to do testing in the winter months, then fine. You either go to the southern hemisphere or you go to the Middle East or somewhere where it's always hot. Otherwise, it's just a waste.
Yeah.
And speaking about wet racing, why aren't they out when it's wet during testing? Do you remember how much they spent trying to get a wet circuit so they could do some wet tests for Pirelli?
Yes.
Last time out?
Well, look at the dramas we had with the tyres last season.
Yeah, and it's raining. And even, I think you've got even less excuse for not doing wet weather testing in the cold because, again, the heat in the temperature in the tyres isn't as big a deal. I basically think there needs to be a rule that mandates in the event of a wet test, the teams are mandated, if their car is in running order, mandated to do a certain number of laps. They have to, because it's just ridiculous. I think on the third day of the first test, I think only one car completed a lap.
Right. Was that the McLaren?
A couple of I think it was a Red Bull.
Oh, okay.
I know the McLaren, it kind of went out and then just came straight back in. But the other cars didn't bother doing anything. The fuck you all playing at? I doubt it's going to rain at some point in the season.
Well, let's wait for it to rain, and then we can turn around and say, well, look, guys, you had the perfect opportunity to find out how to turn these tyres on. And you squandered it, you didn't go out in it, and that is your choice. And now you're screwed. So now you don't know how to turn the tyres on. So, tough. Go out there, stop bitching, and get behind that safety car and race.
Yeah. I mean, it's shit like that. It just pisses me off. But it's just such a waste. And you could see, like, in the body language of the teams and, the commentators and all that, they're there at this test and it's just like, why are we here?
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
I'm missing my family because of this.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like...
There is going to be a standing start after a safety car period this year as well.
Yeah, which again just seems stupid. Yeah.
That's going to be a farce. The first time it's going to be an absolute farce.
Well, again, the standing starts are generally the most dangerous parts of the race in terms of, for incidents. Oh,
no, don't get me wrong. It's not... I like a standing start, and I'm quite happy to have a standing start, but it's going to be a farce. Well, you're going to have so many people out of position, not quite sure where to park. You're not going to have people showing them where to pull up into the box or what box to pull up in. It's going to be a farce.
No, I get that as well. But what I'm telling you is you're going to have a situation where, okay, there's been a safety car brought in for something. Fine. They stop. They have to do a restart. Someone's going to get over eager, misjudge something. There's a massive accident. Another safety car while we clean up that mess.
Yeah.
Repeat ad nauseum.
Until there are 3 cars left running.
until there's 3 cars, yeah. So, got that to look forward to. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, back to Williams.
So, hopes for Williams for this season?
Well, I don't know. I mean, so they've got 2, in effect, rookie drivers. We've got Lance Stroll, who's he seemed like he was going to come good towards the second half of the year, but he really just seemed to plateau.
I thought he was all right. He struggled. I think he struggled a little bit. The podium helped him. And I think with the help of Massa, he kind of found his feet.
He did, but I was just kind of expecting a little bit more, perhaps.
Yeah.
But still, he's fine. First season, whatever. And he's paired with Sergei
Sirocco.
Sirocco?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll mess up his name much more in the season.
Not
Sirocco, there you go.
Sirocco.
Sirocco's a VW car, isn't it?
That's a Scirocco.
Okay. Anyway, so yeah, he's a GP or F2 champion. He's raced in. Did he actually? No, he didn't win F2, did he?
Hang on. Let me Google
Man
him.
looks up thing on internet.
Yeah, doing it. I'm probably racing you at this. He's 22 years old. That is disgusting. How dare he? He was born after I left school. I was already at work and he was just being born. That's filth.
Have you forgotten how old Max Verstappen is? Just out of interest?
Shut up.
Okay.
Stop it.
Yeah, he was the Renault test driver last year.
Mm-hmm.
And was actually in the frame for a seat until they got Carlos Sainz.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's he's with Williams. We'll see. I mean, we're kind of in that awkward position. We don't know if it's the car or the drivers, which is why they are where they are.
Yeah. What about I know we spoke very quickly about the livery, the white halo. You not a fan?
So I think the halos are looking best on the cars like the McLaren and the Red Bull, where it's black. So it kind of doesn't interfere with the livery of the car, and it almost disappears, especially when you're looking at it front on.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with the Ferrari, who of course have stuck a sodding badge on it, and the Saubers, and I suppose the Williams as well, it's very apparent in your vision. In fact, if you go to the Autosport page in a minute, there's a shot of the Ferrari on the kind of square on.
Yeah. And
it's just very much it draws your eye to it. Whereas if you look at, say, the McLaren, it just doesn't.
Right. Okay. I quite like the painted white on the Williams on the halo. I don't mind it at the moment. It's here, so I'm like, okay, and I quite like it.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the Martini livery anyway. As I said before, there's just a little bit too much black at the bottom for me. I would prefer the whole body to be white. But yeah, that's their decision. But it's pretty. It is a Williams for the last couple of seasons, isn't it?
They're pretty cars, at least livery-wise. They've got Paddy Lowe with them this year. This is his first full season with them, so
yep.
I suppose we're expecting big things from them because of that.
Yeah.
But hopefully the extra money they're getting, because they both pay drivers in effect. I'm not saying that as a derogatory thing, but they are both bringing finance. I mean, Kubica was going to bring finance as well, but just not as much. But Kubica is still there working on the developmental role, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Hopefully they will turn around the downward swing they've been in for the last couple of years and get back to being at the front end of the midfield, which would be nice.
Yeah, be nice.
So one more thing, just while I think about it, this kind of ties a little bit into Williams and just the general news. There's been a law mandated by the FIA, but works customers have to have the same engine mode as the works teams.
Oh, okay,
so
right.
You know how it used to be that Mercedes could apparently turn up extra engine modes for qualifying.
Yeah, and Williams were only allowed 3 laps on this, where Mercedes would have 5 laps on the... Yeah.
It's something like this. It's always rumoured. It's never been confirmed. But basically, the FIA have said all customer teams must have the full access to the same engine modes as the works team.
Yeah.
So, again, we'll see where it goes on with that.
Which I think is fair. That they're paying for the engine, so they might as well get all the bells and whistles with it.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so the next one up from Williams is the Red Bull Toro Rosso Honda.
Oh, yes, the Toro Rosso Honda. Yes, they picked up the scraps from McLaren. Shockingly enough, I think done the most laps in testing.
How the hell does that happen?
There's 2 reasons why that happens, in my estimation.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is Honda were developing that engine all of last year.
Yeah.
Because bear in mind, it was in effect a brand new engine at the beginning of 2017.
Yeah.
Because they had an engine for 2015 and 16. Then they went with a whole new concept. It was shit all last year, but they were developing it, and they've been developing it all over the winter months. Little sidebar, there's a fantastic series on Amazon called, I think it's Grand Prix Racer.
Oh, yes, I haven't seen it yet. I've still got it to watch.
It follows the McLaren team in pre-season from last year. Everyone needs to go and watch it because it's just such an eye-opener. It's really, really good.
It's called Grand Prix Driver Season 1.
There you go. It's only 4 episodes, but it's all about the McLaren pre-season up until that first test. And you can see the moment they realise they've got a dog in that car. It's kind of heartbreaking. But anyway, Honda was developing it, so, fair enough. But secondly, Toro Rosso, if you look at the car and the back of their bodywork, are a lot more forgiving with their cooling and space than McLaren was.
Yeah.
McLaren have been religiously sticking to that size 0 concept of the smallest possible back end since, I think, 2012.
Mm-hmm.
Tiny back end of the car. And it compromised the engine. Whereas if you look at the back end of the Toro Rosso, it's a lot wider.
Yeah.
It's a lot better on the cooling. Things aren't running quite as hot. And I think Toro Rosso are a lot more willing to listen to Honda than McLaren were. I think McLaren were very much, no, we know what we're doing. You must adapt to us.
Well, yeah, McLaren are like that, though. They're very clinical, aren't they? They're very sterile as well. Mm-hmm. Especially in the Ron Dennis days as well. And it's very much that they would turn around and say, well, you have this amount of space and not a centimetre more. So you must make your car fit, or your engine and your package fit into this. And Honda have tried their best. It didn't quite work. And we're I don't want to go too fast, but we're kind of seeing that happening again. I feel. And maybe Toro Rosso are more lenient and they're going, well, McLaren didn't give us any room. We need this room. And they're like, okay, let's go with that. And they seem to have done that. Yeah.
Well, again, bear in mind, the Toro Rosso team, that's Minardi.
Yeah.
Minardi, the previous, the
Minnows.
The Minnows, the punchline of Formula One back in the day. But you know what? Fair play to them. They've done well. But they're a works team now. Mm-hmm. And I just think they're loving the attention. They're not picking up the scraps from Red Bull. They're not, having to make do with all this. No, they literally have an engine manufacturer who will work with them and, says, look, we can do this, but can you do that for us? And they're like, yes, absolutely. So I think that's why primarily the engine's been running a lot better. I don't think it was a mistake for McLaren to leave them.
No, that was not working. That was a very poisonous relationship that they had there. It was
rather toxic. But, more power to, Red Bull, to Toro Rosso for, in effect helping rehabilitate Honda's thing. Again, the rumour is that they're effectively trialling the engine this season before Red Bull take it next year.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I fully expected the engine to be more reliable than it was last year. Because let's face it, it couldn't be much less reliable than it was last year.
No, it was terrible, and it was almost stillborn, really, wasn't it? It was shocking.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think we're all giggling away at Toro Rosso picking up this engine, but the amount of laps that they've done, and this time last year we were just head in our hands, looking at McLaren, going, "Oh God, we got another year of this so far."
Seriously, watch that show. I mean, there's 2 key points which I'll bring out. There's when they're first trying to mount the engine to the chassis, and the bolts it doesn't match.
Right.
So at some point, someone's miscommunicated something, and the holes don't line up. And then there's the first time Alonso goes out in it, and when he comes back, and it's just, it was painful to watch.
Right.
And this was for benefit of hindsight. I mean, imagine being there at the time and doing that. And it's very clear McLaren had no idea this was coming.
Yeah.
They literally have one of those all hands sort of meetings where the directors are there trying to explain everything to them. And they just put their hand up and say, look, we're sorry, guys. We had no idea.
Yeah.
So I get that. To be fair, Honda should have started with a smaller team before going in with someone like McLaren, I think.
Well, I think that's to do with McLaren as well, though, isn't it?
Oh, again, McLaren are certainly not without blame in the whole thing.
No. Well, yeah, they wanted to ditch Mercedes, and they were too good for Mercedes.
I see. The thing is, though, I think that was Ron.
Well, yeah, it possibly was.
I think that was all on Ron, Dennis, and now he's gone. There's definitely a mentality change there, I think, at McLaren.
Right.
But we're not talking about McLaren just now. We're talking about Toro Rosso.
Okay, so what do you think of the look of the car?
It's very similar to what we saw last year. You know, the colours are more or less the same, aren't they? With that kind of inverted red and blue. You know.
The blue and silver. Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
the blue and silver. It's like the because it's effectively the Red Bull Cola colours, I think it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's a handsome enough car. The nose has got that little kind of stubby Force India sort of thing going on there.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of nice.
I think it's a very pretty car.
It is. I do too. It's got a blue halo on this one.
Yep.
But
that's kind of like a midnight blue, isn't it? So it's kind of blends in. It's almost black type thing, isn't it? So I think it's a very pretty car. I was bad mouthing them last season for taking Honda. Nobody really wanted a Honda in the back of their car. We're all laughing at them, but I don't really want Honda to be a joke this season. Otherwise, no.
It's not a funny joke.
No.
Is the problem there? But yeah, I hope they do well. I mean, I don't want them to show up McLaren just because then everyone will be ragging on McLaren saying, "Oh, you should have stuck with Honda." No, they shouldn't have.
Yeah.
But, you know, I want them to be able to stand on their own 2 feet. But yeah, I like the car. I think it looks good. They have Pierre Gasly and Brendan Hartley as the drivers. Both very young drivers. I mean, they both debuted last year, didn't they? Yeah. Towards the back end of the season.
Yep.
But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see how they do. I will be watching with interest.
Good stuff. So that was Toro Rosso.
Yeah.
The next one in the list we have is Alfa Romeo Sauber F1 team.
A bit of a mouthful, eh?
It is a little bit, yeah. Alfa Romeo.
I know. It's been a while.
Can I say, this is a very sexy car.
You know what? I was with you when I first saw it.
Yeah.
But while I've been watching it in testing,
yeah,
it's kind of come across as a bit boring.
Yeah.
A little bit.
It's not exactly setting the world alight, is it?
I don't know if that's the case, but I mean, when they first unveiled those pictures of it, I was like, oh, I'm going to need a moment. You know, It looked like a very, very sexy car. And
especially
I was with you.
From the rear as well. It's just that white and red. It's like,
Yeah, it was great. I mean, lovely. But then watching it throughout testing, it's diminishing returns. Every time I've seen it, I've been like, I'm kind of bored of it now.
So does it look slow to you now?
I think I tell you straight up, because I'm looking at some pictures of it now. I think it's a combination of it being very grey out on track.
Okay.
And you know those first pictures are all under the floodlights and everything. They look really great and crisp. And then when you see it out in the grey track, it's just a bit it's a bit blah.
Is it like coming out of a club after seeing a bird and you're like, oh yeah, man, I totally would. And then you're out in the bright lights of the streets. You're like, oh dear.
Yeah, we're just moving along with that. It's just, I don't know what it is. I'm going to reserve final judgment on hot or not for Sauber until we get to Melbourne.
Okay.
When it's sunny, basically. But yeah, I want to like it. It's very bare.
Oh yeah.
The car. I don't think, except for a couple of sponsors on the, like there's Claro and something else I can see.
It's very sparse, isn't it?
It's very, very sparse. I mean, that's true of many of the Formula One cars in a minute. And I do think this looks tons better than that blue and gold monstrosity they had last year.
Yes.
But yeah, initial reactions was like, whoa, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Having seen it a few more times, I'm just like, not so much. And again, harking on about the halo, it for me just seems a little bit intrusive there. Right. What I do like though, and I know this isn't ideal for them, it's showing there's poor cooling or something, but I do kind of like the multiple
intakes for the engine on top of the airbox.
Yes. Yeah.
I think that looks kind of sexy. I like that.
Well, Mercedes tried a similar thing in the Schumacher day, didn't they? It had the major post in the middle, and then some the gearbox and the engine cooling around it, and I quite like that idea.
I quite liked it too, but if you recall, back in the day, they weren't exactly on, setting the world on fire, and I believe it was something to do with cooling issues, and that's why they have to go that way. So I'm assuming it's something similar there as well.
Yeah. I know people are trying to get the size 0 at the very back, but on the side profile, you can see where the airbox around the side, there's side pods, it swoops round towards the gearbox, and you have that kind of shelf. It's just, I quite like that shelf. I like the look of it. I'm sure the engineers and the designers don't want it there, and that's just the best concept that they can come up with because of the package that they have. But I quite like that little shelf.
I don't know if you saw on the Williams because it's black like that, but the undercut on the Williams is really severe.
Yes.
I mean, you could stick a chair there and get your legs under it.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
So I do hope Sauber does better than they have done in. I'd like them to get back to kind of where they were when they had BMW. Mm-hmm. That'd be nice. It's going to be interesting seeing how them and Haas compare, since they're now both sort of the Ferrari B team.
Well, yeah, it was very disappointing for Sauber last season. That was their worst season in history to date. And it's, especially when I went to the British Grand Prix where you saw all the others go past and then Sauber went past. And it was, I want the top teams and I want the midfield teams, but I want all the other teams to be involved in the midfield teams. I don't want there to be a slower team.
No, we don't want the days of, the Minardis and the Caterhams and the HRTs bringing up the rear. We want, if we have to have a 2-tier championship, fine, but I want the front runners and I want the midfield, and anyone in the midfield can come up whenever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I want. But
what I think is going to be very telling, you see, I don't think it's McLaren that need to be keeping an eye on Toro Rosso. It's Sauber. Because if you recall, Sauber had a contract with Honda until the management buyout or whatever happened at the beginning of the season.
Yep.
And then they cancelled it, if you recall. So Sauber could be the Toro Rossos, if you will, running the Honda. It would be interesting to see how these guys compare with Toro Rosso. That I think is a much more interesting what could have been. We'll see how that plays out. They've kept the driver lineup, have they? It's Marcus Ericsson. Oh no, it's Charles Leclerc. Because they got rid of Pascal Wehrlein, didn't they?
That's right. Yeah.
Bit of a shame, I think, for poor Pascal. I know it's no one's saying it outright, but that's kind of it for him. And he's only 23.
Well, he's gone back to
DTM.
Yeah, DTM, hasn't he?
He's gone back to DTM, and I think he's staying on as a developmental driver for Mercedes. But unless Bottas goes or Hamilton, it's going to be very hard for him to get back into a Formula One car, I think.
Yeah.
So, still, it's the brutal world that we live in, I suppose.
Yeah. Okay, shall we move on to the next one?
Oh, yes. The Jolyon Palmer Memorial Team.
Okay, Renault. Now, what are they officially called? The Renault Sport Formula One Team.
Yes.
I think this is quite possibly the best looking car out there.
Interesting.
I do. I think the livery is brilliant. I like the massive yellow stripe down the nose, but the sidewalls are black. I like the yellow accents all across it. And it's a real bright, vibrant yellow instead of the banana yellow that we had a little while ago. It
is, and what's interesting is it has sponsors. It seems to have sponsors. There's quite a few listed on there. This has grown on me because at first I thought the yellow was too vibrant, especially when you're looking at it square on from the front.
Yeah, there's a lot, isn't there?
There is a lot. And I will say I do prefer the shade of yellow they had last year,
mostly because it's the same yellow I have on my bike. So
right,
there you go. But it's grown on me. I quite like it. Like I said, I like having the sponsors. It's kind of it reminds me very much of the old Lotuses, the black John was it player
John Player specials.
Those are the ones, yeah. It's very reminiscent of those, and yeah, it is nice that I do. While at first I wasn't keen on it, I do like the contrast though. When you look at it front on, it looks like it's bright yellow, but then you see it on the side and it's very subtle.
There's a shot from the rear quarter looking down from the rear wheel towards the front. It looks sexy. That looks good, man. That looks really good. That looks meaty. It looks fast.
Yeah.
And that's important.
Oh, absolutely, yes. It's very important.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do. I'm hoping that they've had their year or two where they've steadied the ship. They've got some two great drivers in
very
Nico
strong
Hülkenberg.
driver lineup, I'd say.
Yeah.
One of the strongest. Both are proven point scorers in Hülkenberg and Sainz. It sounds like they have a strategy for the engines.
Okay.
They basically look like what they've said is what they're basically going to do is they're going to anticipate using, because the whole free engine thing, it's not just a reliability thing, it also limits your development of the engine.
Yeah.
So what they're thinking of doing potentially is aiming to do 3 engine changes, so it'll be running 4 engines, but do them strategically and give the customers the option to jump on that train as well. And yeah, it could be a case if you do that, you could find circuits where it's easier to overtake potentially, do it there, or ones where you're going to do terrible anyway, do it there, and have a more powerful engine for later on. So we will see. But yeah, very strong driver lineup. Going to be very interesting to see how they do compared to Red Bull and McLaren going into the season. I think they're probably going to do quite well, though. I think they're going to be the dark horse.
Yeah,
or a dark horse.
Yeah, I think they will. And especially with the French Grand Prix coming back as well. They are going to... Do you remember the year... Oh, when was it? 93, when Ligier had the Renault engine as well. There was the same engine in the back of the Williams. Yeah. And they just stormed that grid.
Oh, yeah.
They took the top 4 positions, and Renault were just really stamping their authority on everything. And I kind of want them to do it again this time round.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm
even
really
if it is just for one race.
Oh, when was it? Was it 2011 where we had like 7 winners in 7 races?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want that.
So do I.
Yeah.
And people moaned about that. Oh, it's so unpredictable. Yeah, they did.
Fuck off.
Yeah, people moaned about it, saying, "Oh, it's too unpredictable. You don't know who's going to win." You're like, but last year you were moaning about the same person winning all the time, and now you're moaning about...
Okay, those people just aren't allowed to watch Formula 1 anymore. You're barred.
No, they shouldn't be allowed a TV.
No.
Shouldn't be allowed a TV. So
they should not.
Yeah. Dark horse for Renault. Should we put a little pin in that?
Possibly, yeah. Let's put a pin. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see where they measure up against their customer teams.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But yeah, because they have...
But let's bear in mind...
Go on, sorry, mate.
I was going to say, let's bear in mind this is the Enstone team. I mean, this is a team, when Alonso won races for, this was the Benetton team back in the day. So, they have the pedigree there to do it. So it would be good to see them, rekindle that glory and get back up there. And, I want a really tight, like I said, I don't really want a midfield. I want maybe just like a really close chasing pack. And I think this would be good.
Yeah. They have the unenviable, not task, but position where they are the manufacturer, lending their engines out to other teams, and the other teams are expected to beat them. Which is quite weird. Ferrari, they're expected to dominate the Ferrari teams. The Mercedes, they hope to beat all the other Mercedes teams. But Renault, it's almost a win if they beat the McLarens or definitely beat the Red Bulls.
Yeah.
So,
definitely.
That's interesting, I think.
I agree. Be very interesting to see how they go. And again, with the French Grand Prix, I think that'll do them a lot of good there. So we will see how it goes. Does Prost have a role in the team, or is he just some sort of sponsor or something? Because I know he runs the Formula E team, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think he's got his fingers in that pie instead. Because his son's in that as well.
Yeah, his son's in that as well. So yes, well, that's Renault. I think Red Bull's next on our list.
Yeah, the Aston Martin Red Bull Racing Team.
Yes, the RB14. I loved the launch camo thing they did with that, the kind of blue and silver camouflage thing.
Yep.
I thought that looked amazing. And then they went and spoiled it all by going back to the same old boring shit.
Yep. Yeah, I know that they have history in doing the camo liveries, don't they?
Yeah, it looks it's like digital camouflage, like we get on the really advanced US aircraft and the Russian aircraft. Sorry, they go for that sort of look.
Yeah, Metal Gear Solid as well. Yeah,
Metal Gear Solid. It looked really, really cool, and the blue and silver was really contrasting. It stood out. That Aston wing on the rear wing was awesome. But yeah, and then they just went back to the same boring old Red Bull livery they've been racing since, 2008?
Yeah. I would have been happy if they'd just painted the balls red and had a little bit of splash of yellow and kept the blue and black. That would have been nice. Because you need your brand. They can't have...
They've just got the laziest marketing team in all of Formula One, I think, at this point.
Do you reckon?
I reckon so.
I don't know. I really like the camo stuff.
The camo was great.
Yeah, and when they reverted back to the old stuff, it's... Oh, okay. But I still like the matte finish that they have, which I think looks
I like
really
the satin. Good. Yeah, I've always liked that. I think that's quite good. But I'm just looking at pictures here of it in that blue and silver, and it's just like, why did you go back to the other?
Because they need to show a Red Bull if they're trying to sell Red Bull. That's the thing. They need to have the Red Bull.
They're looking to sell the sodding team anyway. Just go with the blue and camo thing. You'd have more eyeballs on it if nothing else.
Yeah, okay, right. There is a picture I think I put up on the Grand Prix Podcast Facebook group, and it is running in the wet, and it's almost blending into the tarmac. It's not great in wet weather.
Yeah, fair. Well, it was a grey day in Silverstone.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay. Strongest driver pairing? Do you reckon?
Oh, I don't know if I'd say the strongest. Strong, definitely.
Stronger than Renault?
Yeah, definitely stronger than Renault.
Okay.
I think what you've got here, though, is it can self-destruct. We could have another Webber-Vettel situation.
Yeah.
And I think when you talk about a strong driver pairing, it's not just how strong are they individually, but how strong are they as a team. And so with that in mind, I think we might basically, I think if Ricciardo wins and Verstappen has luck like he had last time, I think we might start seeing toys flying out of prams.
Right.
Do you disagree?
No, I totally expect that.
Yeah.
I totally expect that. I'm expecting Verstappen to push Ricciardo possibly to break under the pressure. I don't want him to, but he's been in the waiting to step up. I know he's got a couple of wins underneath his belt, but I think he's been waiting to step up to that championship winning position. It didn't happen last year, didn't happen the year before, so this might be his last chance to do it. And so I
possibly
think Max might break him.
You see, that's the thing. I don't think Ricciardo would break.
Mm.
I think Verstappen is more likely to break because I think Ricciardo can roll with the punches better than Verstappen can.
Yeah, I think that was shown last year where Max had some few problems, didn't he?
But I think that's what I'm saying. If things aren't going his way for Ricciardo, he can deal with it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't go its way for Verstappen, we start seeing toys going out of pram. I think Verstappen is faster, but I don't think he's a more all-round driver, at least not yet.
Okay.
So we'll see. I think this is the team with the greatest potential for fireworks and self-destructing. I also think this team is not good at managing that because you still got Helmut Marko there.
Yep.
Who stirs shit.
Yeah.
Who picks a favourite. Who is just... I don't know why they keep him around, frankly.
Well, because it's his train set.
No, it's Dieter Matras's train set.
Oh, sorry, yes, yeah.
He's just playing with it.
Yeah, fair enough, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I don't quite get what he's doing there. So, yeah, he just seems to be there to stir up shit more than anything else. He's kind of like the political officer, you know?
Right.
Make sure things are done in the best interest of the fatherland.
No, we weren't supposed to go down that road.
Start singing the Soviet national anthem if you like.
No, please don't. No. Anyway, so where are you expecting Red Bull to finish this season? Are they going to win? Are they going to win races?
They should win races. I think in testing, they're a lot better off than they want us to think they are.
Mm-hmm.
I think if the Renault engine is up to snuff, they'll definitely be... Put it this way, they'll be blaming the Renault engine for everything that goes bad.
Okay.
And taking all the credit for everything that goes well.
Yeah.
Because this is Red Bull after all.
Yes,
let's not forget. But I think they very well may challenge for the championship. I think they will... I definitely think they'll be as strong, if not stronger than Ferrari.
Right. So on to the next one in the list, Mercedes.
Mercedes. Yeah.
Are these the leading pack this season?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Everything I've seen from the testing and everything leads me to believe that, yeah, they're likely to still be the, leaders of the pack. And then brum, 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 brum sound effects.
I don't think it's likely. I think it's nailed on.
Pretty much, yeah.
They look like they're sandbagging.
I don't think they're sandbagging in the way that Red Bull used to back in the day.
Right.
I think they know they have a fast car, so they're just focusing on their development program.
Yeah.
And again, the mantra is reliability, laps after laps after laps after laps. So I think that's just what they're working on.
Mm-hmm. So, do you think this is the strongest pairing in Formula One?
Yeah, this is probably what I'd say is the strongest pairing.
Really?
Because you have Lewis, who, four-time champion, going for his fifth.
No, I don't want him to have 5 already, crying out loud.
So 4-time going on to his fifth. And then you have Bottas, who is a solid, good, fast driver, who is not going to rock the boat. He knows his place at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And he's going to, happily just, kind of do his job, I suppose, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Pick up the pieces if it goes to pot and take it from there. So, yeah, I think this is the strongest driver lineup. I think this is the car to beat.
Yeah.
Really, the only question is how far's the gap to the rest?
Right. I want to see from this team, I want to see Bottas bringing it to Lewis Hamilton. I want to see him really pushing him hard. Because I'm sure he tried it last season, but he just didn't get anywhere near, really, in the grand scheme of things. But I'd like to see him really, I don't know, just be on his heels. It's all well and good if Lewis has an off day, he's there to pick up the pieces, that's fine. But surely Bottas wants to be out ahead, and then if he has an off day, Lewis picks up the pieces. I just want to see it. I liked the inter-battle between Nico and Lewis, even though I despise them both just as equally.
Yeah.
I like the friction that was there. I don't think we're going to get that with these two because it's just not there. It's not going to happen. But I wouldn't mind having Hamilton being a bit scared from this. Have to look over his shoulder.
I'd like it too. I just don't think he will.
Yeah.
I think the way Bottas was brought into the team at the last minute, he never aspired to the team. He wasn't chasing it. It landed in his lap to an extent.
Yeah.
He's grateful to be there. And I think what you're going to find is maybe there was a situation where he was told that Lewis, maybe he wants another year or 2 years out of a team. When he goes, then you could be the number one driver. Mm-hmm. So maybe he's just treading water.
Yeah, possibly.
And see where it goes.
Kind of what McLaren did with Hakkinen when they told him to take a year's testing.
And you know what? How it worked for Hakkinen at the time.
Yeah.
But
what about the look of the car? Because this is the skinniest I've seen it.
The back end of this thing is absolutely tiny.
Yeah.
This is definitely size 0.
Yeah. The halo is just a big... Well, it kind of blends into the grey behind, so I'd like to see it on a sunny day, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's the same basic colour scheme we've seen in the others.
Yeah, it's just a bit boring though, isn't it? I know they have to be silver.
It is getting a bit boring. I mean, it is kind of... It took them out... Because I always used to like the old McLarens when they were silver and black, like the Hakkinen days. These guys kind of took the mantle of that and carried it forward. I've always been partial to that. It's a nice gradient on there, so, it's nice. I like the green.
No, I don't.
You don't?
No, I think I think it should be more incorporated in the actual colour scheme itself. I know that they're the silver arrows, but these are the smoky silver arrows. And I prefer when the colour of the silver arrows that they had when Schumacher was racing with them.
Yeah.
Just before Lewis took over it, and it was a silver car. I preferred that. This is kind of a smoky car. Not as keen on it. I think it's going to be a beast.
I prefer the smoky look over the plain silver one. I think I like the gradient and the shading they've got going on there.
Yeah.
It's just myself. But yeah, it's it looks like it's the Mercedes at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It looks like it is. It's, with the exception of Paddy logoing, they've got a very tight ship there. So they're not going to drop the ball. If anything, they're probably going to be stronger than they were last year because they'll have learnt those lessons.
Mm.
I remember because last year they were apparently compromised because there was a engineering decision they did, which they had to change. It was something with the suspension.
The suspension, yeah. It was hydraulics between the fronts and the backs, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that was banned, so they had to kind of work around it. This year, though, this has been from the ground up without that in there, so...
Yeah, I'm worried. I really am a bit worried.
Worried that they're going to win or not going to win?
I'm worried that they're going to be at least a second ahead of everyone else.
It's entirely possible.
I honestly think that they're going to be a clear second ahead of everyone else. No doubt about it. I think they're going to go there, they're going to rock up, and that's it, stamp their authority, and everyone's going to go, oh, we've got another 20 of these to go.
21 of these to go.
Yeah, I hope it's not going to be that way, but I just get that feeling. I just have that feeling. As much as other teams are looking quite good, I think these guys have still got it.
I do, like I said, everything seems to suggest they're just going to... Basically, if other teams want to win, they've got to bring it to Mercedes, because Mercedes are not going to go dropping the ball at this point.
No.
So...
It's too tightly honed.
It is. I mean, the one thing I'll say about Mercedes, though, which has made this era slightly more tolerable than the Red Bull one or the Ferrari one before it, at least they're a bit more humble about it. They're not so fucking arrogant about it the way the other teams were.
Yeah, I think that was the problem with Red Bull, wasn't it?
Oh, Red Bull were the fucking worst.
Yeah. They were. Which... McLaren, they had heritage, I suppose, that they had won it numerous times. Red Bull came along, started winning it, and then... no, we've won it 4 times in a row, so there's no reason why we shouldn't win it all the other times in the future. And it's just got very entitled very quickly.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Okay, so anything else about Mercedes?
Not especially. Not that I can think of. It is what it is. This one, weirdly enough, because they've left their Halo unpainted, it looks like it should be painted. This one looks like it's unfinished, whereas on the Red Bull and the McLaren, it looks like a design choice.
Yeah.
And I think that's just because the way the silver has that black shading in it, it looks like they would have painted the Halo anyway, but, whatever.
Yeah. Very, very crafted around the side pods as well, isn't it? There's so much of an undercut on there.
This was very much, well, again, this was a Mercedes concept, the Halo. So one has to question, maybe they always had plans for it. We'll see.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Next one on McLaren F1 team.
McLaren, my old friends.
Where do you want to start with this one? Should we start with the colour?
I like the colour. It's very orange, but I like it. It's basically the colour scheme that Alonso ran in IndyCar last year, the Indy 500.
Yeah.
It's the papaya?
Papaya orange, yeah.
Papaya orange, which I'd never heard that word so much until they started using it. But I also like the blue on the front and rear wings and on the mini shark fin bit.
Do you think the blue and the orange go together?
Well, I can't speak for everyone, but I know a certain podcast which makes good use of a blue and orange colour scheme.
Yeah, it's funny. 2 years ago, we changed our album art cover and we went orange and blue. Now, I'm not saying anything, but, well, I am actually, yeah. We got there first, McLaren. Thank you.
Well, I hate to point out that movie posters for the last 15 years got there first, but, you carry on.
Shut up. Okay, so I like the orange.
Me too. I really I like the blue as well. I like the colour scheme of the car. I really like. And this is the one where I say when you have the Halo painted black, it almost disappears.
Yes.
Because it's so bright and vibrant, you just don't notice it, do you? Your eye isn't drawn to it like other cars.
I agree. I think if this Halo was orange, I think they probably went through it and painted it orange and went, nah, let's not. Let's go black. It looks better. And I think they made the right choice with that.
Yeah.
I like the blue on it. People have referred it to a Bic pen as well, which I can see.
Now you've said it, I can see it.
Yeah, little blue, the blue little cap at the end, and the pen lid at the top, and the orange in the middle. Yeah, it's definitely a big pen. But I like it. I think it looks great.
If it was an award for, straight up, this is my favourite looking car.
This is what I wanted last year. We said that.
Yeah.
We said that. So yeah, they have listened. Thank goodness. Thanks, guys, for listening.
Yeah, and this is what I wanted, and that's great. But it's all well and good looking fast. Kind of want it to be fast.
Yeah. And what's happening with that then?
I don't actually know. This is kind of a problem. So here's the thing, right? I was just looking at some stats while you were away a moment ago. Spoiler alert, he ran away, but he's back now. On raw pace, when you equalised everything for tyres and everything, it's the second fastest car on raw pace.
Is it?
It is.
Oh, okay. I was unaware of that. I thought it was looking a bit of a dog.
Raw pace, second fastest after the Ferrari.
Okay.
That's on raw pace. And as we all know, Formula One is not about raw pace.
No.
It's about getting to the end. I think their problem, more than anything else, is they need to sort out the reliability. And I think they're compromising themselves again with the size 0. I think mostly what they need to do is cut more holes in the bloody engine thing for cooling. Because that's what's caused them a lot of problem today. I think it was something was overheating, rubbing against the rear bodywork. It was catching fire.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all fixable. It's not a fundamental problem like what they had with a Honda. It's all a case of, okay, if we fix this, we should be fine. If we fix that, we'll be fine. They're easy fixes, but they're fixes they shouldn't have to make. But what I think this might be a symptom of it is because they've been in the doldrums for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
They've gotten sloppy because there's no sense in worrying about those little things when the thing in the back of the thing's fundamentally fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the problem with the Honda engine is it was baked in, and so there was no change in that, was there?
Exactly. And if you wanted to do a change, it had to fly all the way over from Japan, and it's fine. So what I think is gratifying is firstly they've run. They've done race distances in testing.
Yeah, but what happened the first time out though?
Oh, with the wheel falling off.
The wheel fell off.
The wheels literally fell off a wagon, which that's just weird. Don't know how or why or whatever happened.
It is weird, but it's a bit superstitious. It's, you just departed from Honda. Toro Rosso looking quite good running around there, and then the wheels fall off of the McLaren.
We'll see. I think that's just, it was a silly thing happened. They've said it was something with a 2-pound piece on a locking nut or something, I think.
Right.
Whatever. But I'm happy they're finding these problems now and not at Melbourne, which is what happened last time out.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. So, again, they have the potential to be at the top of the midfield. They have the potential to challenge for podiums if they can sort those little bugs out, if they can get that together.
Okay.
They can do it. They just need to... You know what they need back? They don't need him in charge, but they need someone like Ron Dennis who will run that ship a bit tighter, perhaps, I think Eric Boulier's a little too loosey-goosey.
Like Whitmarsh as well.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, because he was really nice as well.
I like these nice guys. That's great. I like they can have fun with themselves and stuff like that. That's all good. But they do need someone who just install a little bit of discipline to just make sure those little mistakes don't happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just that. I was going to say, driver lineup, I think they still have the best driver in F1 on their team.
Okay.
I continue to be a proud member of a Fernando Alonso fan club.
Yep. You're going to be wearing your badge all season, aren't you?
Well, up until the point he annoys me, but I don't think he will annoy me.
Okay.
Again, that's a telling thing. Last year, if Alonso wasn't driving the car for testing, he didn't show up. He didn't see any point. He was at every day of the testing, though, talking with Stoffel, and they were like talking through the car. Yeah. So he sees potential in it.
Oh, yeah. I think he's much happier with what he's got underneath his right foot at the moment.
Yeah. And Stoffel as well, he's come a long way in the last season a bit. Seems pretty solid. I think if McLaren can give him a car that will do a race distance, I definitely think Alonso's going to be dragging it up into the points.
Yeah. Do you think that we'll see a McLaren on the podium this season? And if we do,
yes.
Where or when? How, in the first quarter, second quarter, third or fourth?
I would say yes, and barring some spectacular, fuck up from McLaren, from Mercedes or Red Bull or something like that, I'd say second quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're talking the start of the European season then.
Basically, yeah. I think you get around there sort of thing. Maybe maybe Barcelona. Again, the home races usually give them an extra, bit of a boost. Maybe even Spa when we get around to that in the third quarter. What I think is going to be interesting is the battle between Red Bull, McLaren, and Renault.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I think Red Bull probably have the best chassis. I think McLaren have the best driver.
Yeah.
And I think Renault have the best access to the engine, effectively.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see how they're all going to play out.
Yeah, I would like them all to be bitching and moaning. Well, not moaning, but fighting in between things.
I want a proper dogfight between all of them.
Yeah.
6-car dogfight. That would be great.
Yeah. I think the McLaren is definitely the second best looking car on the grid at the moment.
Okay.
Do you think it's the best?
I do.
Yeah. Okay.
By a significant margin. I'll tell you what, it stands out more than anyone of us. I mean, even on a grey, miserable day, you could, it stands out and it puts a smile on my face.
That's true. Yeah. That is true. Yeah, yeah. A wet race, it'd still stand out, wouldn't it? Whereas the black on the
I cannot wait to see this thing at Singapore.
Mm.
The one thing I want to see some more sponsors on there. So come on, Zach Brown, you're supposed to be the sponsor maestro. Get some bloody sponsors on that thing.
Well, let's get it some points first. I think what they need to do is get some points, then they can get the sponsors.
Yeah.
But it needs to finish solidly in the points. They need to get good TV coverage. They need to finish. They don't need to be parked up on the side of the road.
No.
That's what we want to see. I want to see both of them finish the race. I want to see them qualify midfield towards the sharp end. I don't think it will happen. I think we're going to be in it for a bit of a and then by the end of the season we've come good. But I'm hoping it'll come good at the very beginning.
We will see, absolutely. But I'll say again, I think they made the right decision leaving Honda.
Yeah.
I don't think that was working for either of them. I just hope that they are able to make it work with Renault. And yeah, like I said, I want to see them. I want to see McLaren back up at the sharp end. It's where they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Pull your fingers out.
Definitely. Okay, so Haas. Next one up. Haas F1 team. We have Romain Grosjean and Kevin Magnussen. In my opinion, the two dullest drivers.
I don't think they're the dull, but they're my least favourite.
They're the greyest drivers, along with their car.
They're certainly the two I would least want to sit down and have a drink with.
Yeah.
Except maybe the Williams drivers, and that's just because they're just kind of...
Well, they can't drink.
Well, partly that. Partly they're yet to make any kind of an impression. Yeah, I mean, Grosjean, he started off as a bit of a bad boy of Formula One. Had a little bit of a renaissance when he was with... was it Lotus at the time? Or Renault? I can never remember.
He went... Yeah, he was
it was Lotus, wasn't it? Yeah. It's the Renault team, it was Lotus. He kind of... sorted himself out a bit there. But ever since he's come back to Haas, the first year he was fine, but he's become a bit of a whinging fucking... It was a running gag last year. It was Grosjean complaining about his brakes, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then you got Magnussen, who, again, used to be McLaren and everything, racer. When he was with Renault, but since he's been in Haas, he's become a bit of a fucking bitch.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit... not a fan there, Kevin Magnussen. So I'm sure he doesn't give a shit what I think.
Oh well, yeah, I'm sure he doesn't.
He could well take the Jolyon Palmer Award for most annoying driver of the season. We'll see.
Yeah, well, someone has to step up to that, don't they?
Or down to it, either way. It's a coveted award.
What about the car itself? What do you think on the looks of the car, on the grey car? Because they had two tones last year. They had a very light grey, and then someone went, nope, darker, and they went dark grey. This season they've gone a light grey.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I'll say looking at this now is it kind of makes the Sauber look more interesting.
Yeah, this is the worst livery.
This is the knockoff of the Sauber by the looks of it.
This is right. This looks like a bootleg Ferrari. Oh, sorry, not a bootleg Ferrari. It looks like a bootleg livery of you. Imagine buying a
bootleg. It's a bootleg Sauber.
Yeah, well, imagine buying a computer game, and you can buy your Formula One game with all the licensed cars, but then you can also buy this knockoff game where you haven't got any license.
This is the Formula I car.
Exactly. Yes. It's the Formula One car that you get in Gran Turismo, where they're not allowed to represent any of the other teams because they haven't got any licenses.
Yeah,
this is what it looks like.
It's a dull car. a dull team. We were really impressed with Haas the first year, how well they did. Mm-hmm. Relatively impressed the second year that they maintained that position, although it was a bit there. They kind of need to step up, and I think it's even more vital now that you have Sauber in effect being a Ferrari B team, because look, Ferrari do not suffer fools lightly.
No.
And yeah, if they think they're getting more bang for their buck out of Sauber, you can kiss your ass goodbye. Yeah. So I think Haas need to be careful they don't start picking up the coveted wooden spoon of Formula One.
Looking at the actual car itself, it's like the feeling I get from looking at it, right, is when I'm stood at the door and I see the postman walking up and he puts a letter through and it's a brown envelope and it's a bill and it falls on the floor and it's just that, oh, God. Oh, I better bend down and pick that up then, shouldn't I? That's what it's
Pretty
like.
much.
Yeah, it's just, I don't care. I really don't care. It's the only team I don't care about at the moment.
Oh, me too. It's like meh. I mean, again, Danny, how were they doing in testing? I mean, they were fifth fastest on a raw pace, but again, meh. It's yeah. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I will say this though. Again, just looking at the liveries, because they have the black halo. Again, less obtrusive than the white one you see on the Sauber.
Right. Well, the only shots I've really seen are the actual portraits of the car from any
the reveal
angle.
ones.
Yeah, and they got a very smoky background, so it blends into that. I think that was their idea, but don't care. Honestly, don't.
Shall we move on?
Don't care. I think throughout the whole season, you mentioned Haas, but like, yeah, don't care. Anyway, yeah. So moving on. Sahara Force India F1 team. So we still have Force India.
For the moment, at least.
Okay. We have Sergio Perez and Esteban Ocon in this team. And they've slightly changed the colour of their car.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, it's still pink. They're still the Pink Panthers, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm. But it's a deeper pink, which I'm not too sure if I prefer. I liked the pastel that they had last time out. Hang on, let me just have another look at it. I don't know. I like it. Yeah, I suppose I do.
I like it too. And weirdly enough, this is the only one I think where having painted the halo isn't too obtrusive. I don't know why, it just isn't.
Ain't that weird?
Yeah, I like the colour scheme. It's got like a white highlights with the BWT logo on it. Again, lots of sponsors on this car.
Yes.
You know, this is what a Formula One car should look like. You know, sponsors all over it, which is kind of cool. I like it. I think after Red Bull, or maybe even before Red Bull, but the team most likely to self-destruct is this one.
Is that driver-wise?
Driver-wise, yeah.
Okay.
Perez and Ocon. Because let's face it, I mean, they were basically both told they couldn't race at the end of last year.
I love them too. Not that I actually, really root for them. If I'm going to root for one of them, it's going to be Ocon.
Yeah, me too. But it's, that's the thing. Because last year they were so equally paced. They were just always tripping over each other, literally. And it made it exciting. I mean, you remember in Spa when they knock once, not twice, but 3 times, and then someone loses a wing. It's just like,
yep, I love it.
So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens there. And again, Force India finished fourth last year.
I think they did. Yeah, I think they did very well. I think the team has got the right attitude. Yeah, granted, they've got the drivers that will knock into each other and not give a quarter, but you want drivers that won't give a quarter to anyone.
But they also they will listen to what they're told. At least they did last year.
Yeah.
They may bitch and moan about it, but they still obeyed. So
the thing about it though is when they do bitch and moan, you kind of see their point.
Oh yeah,
and it doesn't matter who's in front. If Ocon was in front of Perez and Perez was saying, "Look, I'm faster than him, let me through," you could kind of see his point. And if it was reversed, you could kind of see the point again.
Well, you're not going to sit behind him and say, "I'm not faster than him," are you?
No, of course you're not. No, but I like it. I like there's a spiciness there. There really is.
Oh! As far as spice goes, this is the Nando's super hot.
This is the peri-peri, isn't it?
This is the full spicy peri-peri. Your arsehole will never forgive you for this.
Yeah. Why aren't more teams sponsored by peri-peri as well, man? That would be wicked.
Sponsored by Nando's.
Yeah.
Zach Brown, get on it.
Yeah, there you go. And then we can have adverts over here for Nando's with Fernando. Look, there you go. It's Fernando's.
This is the kind of keen insight, which is why we're not allowed on Formula One circuits,
Nuts. This is why I haven't been employed, isn't it?
It's a little bit. So yeah, I think interesting. I like the car again. Like the McLaren, this one will stand out as well.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean they've got weirdly enough they've got everything to lose if they don't finish. They've got to finish fourth again. They kind of like won the midfield championship. Mm-hmm. So they need to make sure they can do it again this year. And they're going to have a lot of teams breathing down their necks. McLaren, Renault. Well, okay, they've got two teams breathing down their necks. I don't think Williams will be as much as trouble as last year, but who knows? We might be pleasantly surprised.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. As it goes, technically, I can't really see any great drastic things that people are just going to jump on and copy. But I think it looks great. I think it looks a good car. Nice colours. One thing we haven't mentioned...
I was going to say, we didn't mention that McLaren apparently has some funky rear suspension design, which apparently everyone wants to
oh, that's
steal.
Right, yes. Yeah,
I don't understand it, but yeah, apparently.
Oh, no, well, it's incorporating, instead of having a wishbone at the back, it's just one big fat strut.
Yeah.
That's what it is. But it is kind of the width of the wishbones added together and a little bit more. But then I don't think they're allowed to actually use the suspension as aero, but I think they might be. But there we go. Anyway, so that's the Force India, which do you reckon we'll see a change of name during this season?
Oh, I think we'll see it before we get to Melbourne.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I think they'll change the name before then. I don't know what they're going to change it to.
Yeah.
My personal vote is the Pink Panthers. Pink Panther Formula One team. Makes sense.
Okay.
Play that music every time they're going by. It'd be awesome.
No, thank you. No, thank you. Yeah, I think the Pink Panther is much... people think it's better than what it actually is. So anyway, that's enough of movies.
That's a discussion for another podcast, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, last team that we need to talk about, we have the Ferrari. So,
yeah.
The Ferrari.
Yeah.
This has been fast in the testing, hasn't it?
Well, overall, it's the fastest on raw pace.
Yep.
Pretty good reliability for the most part, I believe. We did just share a video before we started recording. It's very smoky when it starts up, though. So, has to question if there's something going on with oil burn in the fuel, perhaps.
There has been questions about all the Ferrari engines with that happening, haven't
all there? Of them, yes. So it'd be interesting because they're clamping down on that again this year.
Yep.
Doing that because it looked like you're starting up an old diesel van. Yeah, something like that. Or if you want to get really nerdy, when you had old jet planes, they used cartridges to start the air compressors, and they would just kind of like fire a ton of smoke out of the side of these things.
Oh, that's
it looked
right,
like one of those things.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of smoke, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, we will have to see. So I think this is a controversial statement. I think you might disown me. I don't like the look of this car.
Okay, talk me through it. Because there's a couple of things I really like about this car.
Well, firstly, there's too much red. I know it's a strange thing to say about a Ferrari, but I like the white highlights you had last year. I like the white on the rear wing and everything. It's just a bit too red without those bits, in my estimation. Okay. I don't like the painted red halo, and I like the big Ferrari badge they've stuck in the middle of it even less.
Yep.
Which just seems horribly ostentatious. I miss the sculpted side pods they had last time out. I quite liked those. These are a little more, much smaller apertures there on the front.
Yep.
I mean, that's kind of it, really. It's just too red.
Okay. I'm on the other side of the fence on that, mate. I know you are. I like the red wings. I've never really liked the white wings. I never liked when they had the black wings on the 97 car either. I always wanted them to paint them red. And now I have my wish. They are red. And that is what I wanted. So thank you, Ferrari. Thank you for doing that for me. I really like it. I don't think you can have enough red on a Ferrari. If it was covered in red.
Can. And evidence here.
If it was covered in red, I'd still want more red on it. I like it. I like the red wings. So yeah, that's a good thing.
You subscribe to the Orc theory that the red ones go faster.
Yes, clearly. Yes, definitely. I like the halo. I like the red halo. I don't like the badge on it though. That's just, oh, should we put a badge on there? Oh yeah, why not? Yeah, no, stupid. No, you've got enough badges on it. Everyone knows it's a Ferrari. You don't need to put a stupid badge on that thing. But I like it's got an accent of black around the halo, which I quite like.
Mm-hmm.
So
I do like their mini shark fin is white with the number on it.
Yep.
And I like how they've done the number boards on the Ferrari. I do like that.
Yep, like that as well.
Mm-hmm.
The side pods have to grow on me. I liked last year's ones much more than this, but I think they'll grow on me. I like the innovation of this wing mirror as well.
The hollow wing mirrors, yeah.
Yeah, they got like a turning vane in them, haven't they, to send more air down there?
Something, yeah. It kind of blows the air down in towards the side pods.
Yeah, I think there's a hole on top of the side pods.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the wing mirror channels it down into there.
Yeah.
But we shall see.
That's the theory anyway.
Yeah. Overall, I like it. I think it's the best that you can do with a Formula One car aesthetically. It's not my favourite livery though. I think that still goes with the Renault, then the McLaren, then this. But yeah, it's a Ferrari. I'm going to like it, I know.
It is true, yes. We've been trying to break this habit of yours, but unsuccessly so far. We'll get you there. It's fine.
It's Ferrari and Monaco. I like them too, and you hate me for it. So there you go.
So much, so much. Same driver lineup as last year. Sebastian Vettel and Kimi Räikkönen, rumored to be his last season.
Yep.
I think that's the 5th year in a row, but that's been the rumour. So we'll see.
I think Kimi's going to win a race this season.
Do you think it always is his last season and no one tells him that, so he just keeps showing up?
Yeah, I think so, yeah, definitely. I think he might win a race this season.
Oh, one would hope so. Do you think that Vettel will crash into the other two Mercedes?
How dare you, sir? How dare you? No, I honestly think that I think he's still got it in him. It's not every race that he's got it in him. But when he's up the front and it's all working out, then it's, I can do this.
Do you think they need to take a harsher line with him and say, you can't have an ice cream unless you win a race?
Well, then he'll be winning in Melbourne. It's just that easy.
Well, let's find out, shall we? Kimi, if you're listening to this, no ice cream until you win a race.
Yeah, watch this. Watch this space. Yeah, I've got no problems with this car whatsoever. It's looking good in testing. It's supposed to be setting the pace. I still think the Mercedes is at least a second quicker than this car, though.
Oh yeah. I don't think Ferrari's going to be as strong as they were last year.
Oh, okay.
I can't base that on any evidence. It's just intuition, if you will.
So, are you thinking more of a Red Bull second team?
I do think I think it's going to be. I think Ferrari probably will start out strong, or at least up there, and I think Red Bull. But I think Ferrari might fade off quicker.
Okay.
I think they've bitten themselves in the arse with the engine thing.
Okay.
And again, this isn't based on any evidence. This is just intuition on my part. But yeah, I don't think they're going to be as strong a challenge as they had last year.
Okay.
Or rather, I think there'll be more teams in it, so they won't have it as easy in that kind of best of the rest.
Well, I'm quite happy for that. I don't mind Ferrari not winning as long as there's a lot of teams fighting for the wins.
I mean, arguably Ferrari were a stronger team than Mercedes last year, but they dropped the ball with silly mistakes.
Oh, yes.
And also, again, I mean, I like Kimi. Don't get me wrong. Nice guy. I don't think he's going to bring it, though. I just don't.
Okay.
I think he's checked out. I think he checked out a few years ago. But as long as they keep writing him a check, he's going to show up for it.
Yeah.
And Vettel, I think he's too petulant. I just do. I think if things don't go his way straight away, we're going to get repeat performances.
Yeah. Toys been thrown out the pram, etc.
Well, toys been thrown out the pram. You know, I mean, again, if he starts reading from War and Peace again, you know, it's game over. So we'll see. We will see. I just my bias, my intuition is I think Mercedes is going to be stronger than Ferrari this year, whereas last year I think it was technically the reverse. And because of that, I just don't think Ferrari is going to be able to build up the momentum to build a credible challenge.
Right.
But as we like to preface this podcast every time, we're both massive idiots.
Yeah, we're not experts in the slightest.
No clue what we're talking about. So I'm probably completely wrong.
Okay. Right. Well, with that then, I think we should move on to our predictions for the first race.
So before we get to predictions, there's just a couple more things very quickly I wanted to bring up.
Okay.
Do you think race drivers should be allowed to race during testing? Should it be developmental drivers only?
Oh.
Because they only ever tend to bring one car, so you have to alternate. So you have some days where the weather's terrible, so one driver won't get a chance to do his laps or something like that. And there's so little opportunity for other drivers to get a go in the car. Should it be developmental drivers only?
No, it shouldn't. Because these are the guys that are actually going to be racing, going toe to toe. And they need to know what the car's like.
They need, fine, if they need to know what the car's like, have more testing. But I was listening to, on my notebook earlier, and it was something very interesting, an interview with Lewis Hamilton. And he goes, I don't really pay attention except for the race simulation bits.
Right.
He goes out and he runs the car in a circle because the engineers need to calibrate this or do that or do something or the other. But he just sits in the cockpit sending emails on his phone. It's limited benefit to the drivers for doing that sort of stuff. I think it will serve the teams better with developmental drivers who can speak the engineers' languages, you know, and properly kind of convey all that sort of stuff. And I think it would be a bit fairer if the first time the drivers really get to know the car is Melbourne on the Friday. I think that would be much more interesting.
Well, the whole idea of Friday testing was because that they cut down on testing or testing days and testing weeks. And so the Friday was meant to be the test day.
Yeah, but we've always had testing on Fridays, even back when we were allowed to test as much as they wanted, wasn't it? There was always.
But last season we had the conversation of, well, should we ditch Fridays? Which I don't want to.
No, I don't want them to ditch Fridays. I think that's more important, and that's much more beneficial to the teams because you're testing at the circuit and doing stuff. But things like this test we just had, and maybe this is just, when, I want to see, Kubica's get a chance to go, and, whoever the Mercedes, is it still Paffett doing Mercedes? No, it'd be Wehrlein now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Get them out there running the cars and stuff like that. Just see some other people doing that. I just think that would be a bit more interesting. I just felt that I always feel because was it with Alonso? I remember at one point they were giving one of the drivers more time in a car than the other one, which just seemed unfair. Then it's just like, well, maybe neither should get a chance to.
Right. I honestly haven't really thought about it.
Yeah, it's just something I was music on. I was just like, yeah. I mean, again, I think testing needs to be looked at properly as well. Both, I think they need to move the winter this test somewhere warmer so they can actually test. Mm-hmm. But I think they need more. I would rather they went to. I mean, I think there's too many Grand Prix, frankly. I mean, we've got a period between June and July where there's 5 weekends straight. There's races on.
Yeah.
People may not believe this, but I do have a life outside of this. I'd like to go and do other shit on occasion.
Yeah, that's going to be a busy month.
Yeah, it is. So, I'm like, you know what? I'd rather 18 races, 2 additional test days or test periods.
Yeah.
I think that'd be more beneficial than anything else. It doesn't need to be how it used to be where they could test every day. They're not, we had literally an entire second race team just for testing. It doesn't have to be that. But like you said earlier, there's a happy medium to be found.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, I don't want to say that they should have a test team just going around and testing, but I don't know. If you open up the testing, then Ferrari have their own track, don't they?
Yep.
And so that really puts everyone on the back foot. Apart maybe Red Bull have their own track as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you've got Force India are based at Silverstone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but they don't own that track. They don't have poetic license to whatever happens there, do they?
No, not at all. And again, I don't think that's the case. But I do think there needs to, because the problem we could get is if you're on the back foot. You're on the back foot. It's very difficult to claw back any kind of momentum when you don't have any testing.
Yeah.
Because you can't understand what the problem is. And I don't know if it's maybe a case of maybe they loosened, up until you win a race or have scored 2 podiums, then there's a restriction on how much you can test, but there needs to be some way to kind of just let people have a chance to catch up, I think.
Yeah, well, they spent these years restricting the testing, haven't they? Mm-hmm. And we haven't seen better racing. No. But the teams need to pull their resources together to get more testing in. It's all well and good they all go to Spain, but then can they hang around at the track and then maybe do a Monday after the track so they don't have to pack up straight away? After Silverstone, they could all hang around for the Monday after, all have a track day then, and get their development third driver out there.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's eminently sensible to do it that way. Like you said, the resources are there. It's not costing you any more money, really, other than an extra night in a hotel for everyone.
Yeah.
But the problem you have now is, though, when you have like 5 races on the bounce, that's going to be difficult to schedule anything in between that.
That is, yeah.
I mean, actually, where are those? So I'm just looking here. So you're going from France to Austria to the UK to Germany to Budapest. So you're bouncing all around Europe there like that.
Yeah.
I mean, even so, it's like
France, Britain, and Germany should be back to back, really, surely.
Well, they are. Well, I mean, Austria's, there, but anyway, that was just one musing. Another thing we didn't mention, but I think it's worth touching upon, is the Renaissance man, Fernando Alonso, is doing a bit of moonlighting this season.
Oh, okay, yeah. I heard about this. Go on.
Yeah.
What is he doing?
Well, he's going to be taking part in Le Mans.
Yay!
No. That's not all he's doing. He's actually competing the entire WEC championship for Toyota this year. He's doing 2 championships at the same time.
Whoa.
They've actually moved a race to accommodate him. The Fiji race in the WEC is being moved to allow Alonso to take part in it.
You imagine if he doesn't turn up for that.
Oh, well, yeah.
How peed would everyone be?
There's already a lot of people a bit pissed about that because a lot of the other drivers do other series and they can't because those aren't being moved around there.
Yeah, but they're not a Fernando Alonso, are they? Well,
this is the thing. This is the power of Alonso because he did the Daytona race in an LMP2 car.
Yep.
Did all right. Didn't do fantastic. He was teamed up with, is it Lance?
Is it Stroll, wasn't it?
No, it's Stroll did it, but it wasn't with him. He was with Nando Loris. Lando Calrissian.
You're thinking of Nando's again.
I'm thinking of Nando's again.
Dude, that'd still work with Lando as well, wouldn't it? That would still work.
Lando Norris, that's his name. Who, just to make you feel really old, was born in 1999.
It's when we get drivers that are born in the 2000s, that actually made people in the 2000s.
So anyway, he is, he's going to be competing the entire WEC championship. He might also be doing the Indy 500 again.
What, Alonso?
Yeah.
I thought that was ruled out. When is that's at the end of May, isn't it? What do we have at the end of May? We have Monaco at the end of May. Well, then again, yeah, okay. I can see that happening.
Well, they asked Zach Brown, would it happen? And he says, we haven't had a conversation yet, but we're not ruling anything out.
Right, okay.
I think one of the reasons that the divorce was relatively amicable is so they didn't want to, neither side has really bad-mouthed the other.
Mm-hmm.
And I think part of it might be is if they want to do any sort of tie-ups. Because basically, Zach Brown said he wants McLaren to be a permanent feature at the Indy 500.
Cool.
So it might even be, even if it's not Alonso, we might still see a McLaren there.
Cool.
So yeah, there you go.
Get Lando doing that.
Yes.
How cool would that be?
It'd be. I'd like to see two McLarens racing around. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Okay. Anyway, predictions.
Okay, so Australia. When is this taking place? This is taking place at the end of March, which the race is on the 25th of March.
Yes, that's it. Because I was terrified for a minute. I wouldn't be here.
So, okay, are you here for this race or not?
I am here for this race, yes.
Okay, are you able to record for this race?
I am able to record for that race, yes.
Excellent. Okay, that's good. That's good. So, Australian Grand Prix. Do we have any details of last year's Australian Grand Prix? Of course,
I have statistics.
Okay.
The Australian Grand Prix. Let me just bring it up. Come here. Just a moment while man looks up thing on internet. There we go. So, pole position went to Lewis Hamilton. Fastest lap went to Kimi Räikkönen. And the podium was Vettel from Hamilton from Bottas.
That's right.
This was the race with... no, it wasn't this one. It was 2016 was the one with Alonso's big old crash. Alonso didn't take part in... Oh no, he did take part in the race. It was because it was the previous 2 years he didn't. This was the first time he'd done the Australian race in a while because the previous two he'd had to sit it out.
Right. Yeah, he had the crash in 16, was it? When
he had the crash in 16, and then in 15 he had the crash in testing and wasn't allowed to race.
Okay.
Anyway, so yeah, there you go. Last year, Ferrari had a fastest lap and won the race.
Cool. So Since that you won the championship between me and you last year by
did I win last year?
24 points to 18, quite a margin.
Little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'll let you go first. Who would you like on pole position?
On pole position for the race. Well, let's have a look. Last time out, it was Lewis. I'm going to go with Ricciardo.
Oh, okay.
I think that Red Bull is quicker than they've been letting on. And I think the home team advantage, they always say it's worth a few extra tenths.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think I'm going to put my money on Ricciardo.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go with Hamilton because I'm a sucker and I need the points early doors. So I'm bound to turn around and say, oh, yeah, I reckon Ocon will win this race. So I'm going with Hamilton for qualifying. What about the race?
For the race proper. Difficult because Melbourne very rarely is a good indicator of anything. Mm-hmm. It's such an outlier, so it really doesn't matter how anyone's doing. So it really is just whoever the fuck you want. Just
but I love this circuit though.
Oh, me too. I love it too. I've walked around it once, and it's a lovely place. It's Albert Park, I think it is. So I'm going to go with Danny Rick for the win as well, for the same reason.
Nice.
Why not?
Okay, so do I want the points earlier on or not? Who am I going to go with for the win? I went with Vettel last time and I got the points for that. I'm going to go with Vettel. I think that's what I bet last time and got 2 points from it.
There you go.
Yeah, okay, there you go. I'm going to go with Vettel for the win.
Nice.
Okay. Third column. Now, who's the first to break down?
Ooh, first to break down.
Is that a sensible first column for the start of the season? First person out, maybe?
Possibly. I don't know. It seems a bit churlish doing that, I think.
It does.
Plus, winter testing hasn't suggested any major reliability issues with anyone.
Okay.
So I don't think that. How about...
We're gonna have to think about these in advance, aren't we?
We're gonna have to get together maybe and figure this out. Well, I tell you what, we've made a guess on who we think is going to be at the front. Who's going to finish last?
Okay, right. Ooh, okay.
And to be clear, finish last, not DNF. Will have to be classified as finish.
Finish last. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, who are you going for?
Ooh, who am I going for? Strokey chin.
I think I already have my name.
By all means, go say yours if you wish.
Okay, I'm going to go with Sorokin.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Magnussen.
Magnussen?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. But then
it's only because I'm picturing Sorokin crashing out at some point.
Oh, nuts. Okay. Right, well, there we have our first predictions of 2018.
Yep, they're locked in, and you have to land on the button. None of this closest to the mark bollocks.
No, definitely not. No, I'm looking forward to it. I am. I've enjoyed my time away from the Formula One, actually. I've enjoyed the little break. I feel like I needed it, but yeah. I'm raring to go again.
I'm looking forward to it, as I always do, but it's also the least excited I think I've been about a Formula One season in a while.
Yeah. I feel you. I feel you, man. Definitely. I don't know what it is. Is it the impending doom of the Mercedes again?
Possibly. I feel there's a lot of stupid decisions being made. I also think, there's the whole, Liberty Media needs to start delivering on the promise.
Yeah.
You had your kind of year's grace to get away from Bernie. So let's see, pull your finger out now.
Okay.
want to start seeing some tangible changes, and I don't mean a new logo and a new theme song.
No, well, that's done now. We can forget about the new logo. We have to swallow that pill. We are moving on. 2018. I'm hoping for a rip-roaring season. I probably don't sound like as infused, but I think that's because of the past couple of years where it's just been a bit of a slog. But
also, we're British. We don't do enthusiasm.
No, we don't, and we always go for the underdog as well, don't we? But
it's true.
Yeah, I would love it to be a rip-roaring season. I want it to be a classic season.
Oh, definitely. We were saying earlier, I'd like to see 7 different winners from 7 different races.
Yeah, that'd be
from
brilliant.
7 different teams.
Oh, dude, that'd be so cool. That'd be so cool.
I would like to be massively surprised. I would like to see like a win come on, and it's just like, did not see that coming. Where did that come from? I want to see one of those.
Oh, that could be Toro Rosso. It could be though.
Oh, if Toro Rosso do that, I that would be amazing.
It could be.
It could be. It won't be, but it could be.
But if this was a film, it would be.
Oh no! If this was a film, it would be Sauber.
Eh?
If it was a film, it would be Sauber.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
Like a small independent team sort of thing. They almost had success with BMW. Then it all went to pot. The guy had to come back and rescue the team single-handedly. Just about kept his head above water. There was a coup. You know, they lost their manager. And now, just when all seems lost, you're telling me that's not the film right there?
No, it's not. No. Because you've got the baddies Honda being kicked in the ribs and then coming back strong and then winning. And McLaren just sitting around going, what? Oh.
I always thought McLaren were the baddies.
They were. They were the baddies. And then everyone thought Ferrari were the baddies.
Ferrari's always been the baddies.
Yeah, they are.
There's never been any doubt about that whatsoever.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. Right, I'm looking forward to the season. I'm looking forward to speaking to you about it. Hopefully not for 3 hours on each race, though. We ain't doing that.
Well, to be fair, we did have a lot to cover.
Yeah, we did, yeah. So, is there anything else that you'd like to plug away to these lovely people that are listening at the moment?
Oh, if you're foolish enough to want to continue listening to me drone on about stuff, it's mostly with Elton over at RogueTwoMedia.com. Go over there. There's the Earth to the Moon podcast, the Band of Brothers podcast. I occasionally crash in on Shonky Lab, usually uninvited. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we're all over there. It's good fun. Go and check it out.
Yes, please do. And while you're over there, there is a Patreon and a little donate button as well. So if you have enjoyed this, maybe throw us a shekel. What was that word, that saying that you came up with?
Oh, I didn't come up with it, but chuck in a buck.
Chuck a buck, yeah.
Chuck in a buck.
Yeah, chuck in a buck. if you feel like it, it doesn't even have to be expensive. If you feel like we have entertained you, then chuck a buck.
And an iTunes review would be nice,
Oh, yes. I would rather have an iTunes review than a solid gold pound coin. So, yeah, please pop over to iTunes and drop some reviews on there. That would be grand. I do enjoy seeing them. Please also pop over to blackdogpodcast.com. It's a film review show, and I'm trying to remember what we're trying to be doing this week. Oh, it's Princess Bride.
There you go.
Yeah, Princess Bride. Never seen that before. So when I told the guys I hadn't seen that, it was, what? So
it's almost like they don't know you.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I thought that was my thing, wasn't it? I thought that was the thing.
That's my shtick.
Yeah. And then they're surprised when I haven't seen a film. What? No. So yeah, please pop over to blackdogpodcast.com as well. Check out Hypnogoria. Check out Danny Davies' artwork as well. All the links are on the show notes. So if you need anything, please pop over to grandprixpodcast.com or RogueTwoMedia.com. There's so many .com names. I need to sort all this stuff out. So yeah, just pop on along to them places and you can find all the links over there. So until the first race, we will hopefully have it out on the Sunday after that. We will see you then. So until then, bye-bye.
Ta-ra.
Especially if Oliver just got a problem because 2.8 has become 1.9 in the space of a lap. So that's going to happen, isn't it?